it's a kind of my version of a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale. They did it for National Homebrew Day,
Nice.
the Big Brew Day,
Nice.
as their kind of recipe they had online. I kind of just tweaked it a little bit.
Right on, brother. Well, cheers, dude. Welcome aboard, dude. Good meeting you virtually in real life for the first time.
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got some homebrew, but I'm going to wait. I've got a hazy IPA batch. I've got Gnome and Olios coming into town in a couple weeks, and there's not a lot of people who've tried my homebrew out here in Knoxville, so I'm going to try my best to salvage some of that. So they have it in 2 weeks. It's going to be tough, but, you know, I could just drink other beer in the meantime, man. But anyways,
I heard you did a good hazy.
it was a good one. Shout out to Bentgate, those guys out there in Norway. They gave me the recipe, and it's a great beer. It's a really good beer. I'm super stoked off it.
Yeah, I like London Fog for a yeast, so that's good.
Where are you out? Can you get White Labs pretty accessibly from where you're at?
Yeah, I'm in Charlotte,
Okay.
so I'm 2 hours away from Asheville. We get White Labs basically at all of we have a few homebrew supply stores, thankfully in the Charlotte area, so I was able to, go up and support them versus going somewhere online. But I get some of my stuff online that they don't have locally, but we have a pretty good homebrew supply store that I can just go to, which is good because I actually used to live in Minnesota and I could go to Northern Brewer, like and Midwest Supply, which are right there in the Twin Cities area.
Right.
And so you had everything at your fingertips. So when I came down here, I was kind of worried I wasn't going to have, be able to just go like browse the shelves. Like,
Right.
there.
But fortunately, Asheville is right there as well, which is White Labs. And Asheville's what? Pretty much the halfway point between Knoxville and Charlotte?
Yeah, probably it's about 2 hours, like doorstep to doorstep from my house to White Labs.
Okay, cool. In Asheville.
Yep.
All right, we got Dennis out there in Charlotte from, well, tell us a little bit about your channel, man. What's going on with you?
Sure. So I actually started my channel just really because I was part of a homebrew club when I first moved down here. I think my wife and I moved down here in 2015, so about 8 years ago, and I'd never even heard of like a homebrew club. And I went to one of the local breweries, and the guy was like, "Hey, are you part of the local homebrew club?" And I'm like, "What's a homebrew club?" So I show up expecting there to be like 5 guys sitting around a table somewhere, and I was just gonna walk past them, but it ended up being like 60 people, 80 people there some nights at the homebrew club. So bunch of awesome guys. And during COVID, we didn't really have an opportunity to really get together personally. So
Right.
I kind of started the channel just as a way to kind of
Keep in
put out
touch.
some information for some of the guys in
Yeah.
the homebrew club that are new to brewing.
Wow.
And so, I started in April 2001, so I was a little late in the game in COVID days anyway. But and then it just kind of it was kind of fun. I really liked doing it as kind of a hobby and
Yeah, for sure.
put out more and more videos, and here I am.
Right on, man. This is Dennis. For those who are showing up late, it's 3 minutes in. I'm typically the guy who's like 20 minutes late, man. We got the barrages in the house, man. I'm looking at the brew show right now. What's up, G60 Northwest Small Batch? What's up, Steven? JF. We got a barrage out there in Tokyo. Much love, JF. Cheers from Charlotte and Knoxville tonight. What up, Chris Morrow? Nicholas Mellon. Sorry about last week. I didn't get the video out. Balance is off between CH and Dennis. Okay, I'll look into that here in a second. Here, I'll look into it right now.
The barrage is in the house, man. Look,
I'm probably just louder.
Northwest Small.
I think
Ready to move my mic a little closer?
I think that's it. Yeah, or I can turn mine down. Same difference. I could turn mine down a little bit, but
How's that? Does that sound a little better?
sounds good on my end. Elementary Brewing, what's up, dog? Ron Barnes.
Back off, war child, seriously.
I think we're okay right now, or I could just push mine a little bit further away. What up, Kurt Wilson? No, it's a good story. And I appreciate you showing the channel some love. I've seen you in the chat, and I'm glad we connected, and we're doing this, and it's one-on-one. Gnome Brewing, much love. I can turn it down a little bit more. You keep yours right there. If I turn mine down, people can just turn theirs up now.
Sure.
I'm at a 3. But no, I got a video out. Shout out to anybody who watched that last Hazy video. Much love to Yamaka Valley for helping out with that video, as well as Dan and Colin. I think it's Colin. I'm pretty sure it's Colin out there in Norway. But no, that's cool, man. So I don't know. I got nothing written down. This is just kind of straight off the cuff. Big shout out to Tanglefoot for coming on last week, though. That was an interesting story. The one-man show out there in Temple, Texas. Did you pick?
Yeah, I caught a little bit of that just on the replay. I wasn't able to jump on live because I had something at work I had to take care of that night, but I caught up a little bit of it afterwards.
The one man show out there, and he doesn't have any employees, and he's doing all the brewing, all the cellaring, all the front of the house stuff. I've never heard that. Usually, if you even are at that small, you still have a couple people helping you out. But big shout out.
He's not getting burnt out. I mean,
yeah, we talked about that. He's got a girlfriend who's super supportive because you have to be, because they're gonna. It's just tough to juggle a YouTube channel and entrepreneurship and, giving attention to a significant other to keep them happy. They have to be on your page or it's just not going to work out. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. His little cool homemade bar area is pretty neat. Gave a little tour inside that. Pretty neat.
It was all cool. The history of that, it was his grandparents' barbecue back in the day, and he was able to keep it and just continue it going in the family. And that's a super rad story. And that's actually not that far from Austin. So if anybody's in the Austin area, and I'll probably be there, I think for Aliaz's birthday in February or something, we're definitely going to check that out. So that was cool, man. All right, we got Jorge here. We got Bruce. Todd Porter, what's up, man? I was able to meet him. We got a lot of love in here, man. How's the audio sound now? Cityscape is great content. Yeah, I've got a link to his channel in the bio of this. It's under Dennis, not Cityscape. And if you guys could subscribe to that channel, that'd be rad. It's free to do. It's free content. Costs you nothing. I always say, dude, even if you guys don't want to watch my channel, just subscribe anyway. Those numbers going up could keep me happy, whether it's ghost followers or not.
Back off, war child. Seriously.
And I'm kind of like you, doing the cheap, easy, and fun type of stuff. Because you can go down a rabbit hole with brewing, like everybody knows. But using a bucket like you did even in your last video and stuff. I mean, I like to do it and do some at home DIY stuff for brewing just to see if I can do it really.
Yeah, I got an Anvil Foundry system the other day, and they're on their version 3 of that. I started out with that video, and I was like, do I do a comparison video against Grainfather and Clawhammer? I was like, no, we just got to keep this fun and just do a review video. Because I think once you start comparing things, it can get weird. You could rub people the wrong way, and at the end of the day, there's really no right or wrong. I've always said, however you get there is however you get there. Whether you're doing extract or plastic buckets or brewing a bag with a bag,
Right.
I truly believe that just however you get there is however you get there.
Yeah, and some people, need the pumps and stuff. Maybe you can't lift up all the stuff, and you need to have a, recirculating system. And other people who can pick up a thing, they don't, gravity's free. You can do it that way, right? So
Absolutely.
There's a tool for everybody, no matter where you're at.
And I think my first 2 systems that rubbed me the wrong way with pumps were the big one when I had the 3-tier system that has two pumps, maybe 3. It's got 2 pumps. And I didn't like it. One of the pumps broke. And then on the Anvil Foundry system, the pump is super proprietary. It's a small pump. It's got, there's no quick disconnects. Once you kind of go to quick disconnects, it's kind of hard to go back. Sure. They've got those little plastic clamp on, things like that. And I remember burning myself a couple of times, and I was like, I don't know. I just don't like this pump thing. And then I went to the Clawhammer system, and I was like, this is way better. But it's tough to compare. You're comparing a $500 system to a $1,000 system. So just kind of by default, it's brewing a bag. It's all in one. But I don't know. One of them's more kind of entry level to me, and one of them's kind of like more of a pilot system a commercial brewery would get.
Right.
Like Grainfather's all in one. Like the pump is included in that, at least the version that I was using. But there's a lot of parts with the Anvil Foundry. There's a lot of little pieces, a lot of little screws, a lot of little nuts. And it's just way more DIY. And, with the Clawhammer, it's in the Grainfather, it's just kind of all there. Everything's just kind of there. It's all good to go once you set up your 120 heat element. So I was like, instead of doing a comparison video of what system to buy in 2023, I'm just going to go back to, hey, this is a review video of an Anvil Foundry. And there's no right or wrong, And if you look at every system, their reviews, whether it's a Clawhammer or it's a Grainfather or Brewzilla or Matchzilla or Mash and Boil, there's 4 good reviews and then one person that just 1 stars it. It's all across the board, whether it's a $500 thing or $1,000 thing or a 20-gallon thing or whatever. So,
right.
Yeah,
You're gonna have lovers and haters.
yeah,
for
it's
sure.
when you push that much product, it's just inevitable. You know, it's just a scale thing. The bigger you are, the more haters you're gonna not haters, but problems
Sure.
you're gonna have, and that's just a thing. You know, whether it's a beer system or it's Beard Bomb or anything.
Right.
A Sham Wow. I mean, you're just gonna have that. So I'm gonna work on that video tomorrow. There is some tweaks that they did to the first generation Anvil Foundry. So as long as I keep the price the same, it should be a pretty good video. I mean, I think it'll be a okay review video for the most part. I got
Sure.
Trent in there too, though. What up, Nicholas? Just brewed the orange creamsicle milkshake. Right on, man. Cheers. Good to see
Some of
Element.
those systems too, like Grainfather and stuff, they got it's all depends on how much space you have
True.
to store all that stuff, because all in one systems, and it's tall, skinny, you can put it in a closet. And then if you got something, even if you're using Rubbermaid containers like I even use still, that space you got to put it somewhere.
And the thing about the Anvil Foundry, it's a lot taller. It's one of those things where you're probably not going to put it on a table to brew with. You're going to keep it on the ground, which is kind of weird. I don't know, because maybe I'm just used to the claw hammer, because you're going to put it on a table. A good thing about the Anvil Foundry is they did move the LCD screen from the bottom, which was really weird. And they put it on the top now.
To bend over to look at it.
Yeah, but it's also one of those things where if this is your first homebrew system, you have no point of reference. So you don't know
Sure.
what's more difficult. So it might be better to start out on the Anvil Foundry. And if you want to spend more money, go up to the Grainfather or the Climber system. It's just going to get easier from there. But again, if you have no point of reference, you're chilling. Hey, Northwest Small Batch gifted the Hoppy Hour 5 memberships.
Look, I'm going to be honest. I don't really like
Always
beer that
showing
much.
love, man. Cheers, Steven. Always count on you for showing me love, man. We got 45 people in here. This did not happen last week. Oh, because we did it on Thursday. I'm an idiot.
Get over here.
Yeah. But anyway, man, so tell us a little bit about you, man. How long you been brewing? And are you any involved in commercial brewing, or is it strictly just a hobby?
No, it's just a hobby.
Those two questions.
I've been doing homebrewing probably since 2010 or so. I did my parents actually started out brewing some batches of wine, and that was kind of my first deal into fermenting anything really. And I helped them with a couple batches back when I was in college and stuff, and I actually brewed a batch myself of that. And then I had a friend of mine that did some not all grain. He did extract brewing, and so for my wedding, I actually bought all my groomsmen one of those little Mr. Beer kits.
Ah.
And so I made, everybody gets a little can of the,
Yeah.
And so I made one, I made my first beer in the Mr. Beer kit, and I had my buddy who brewed come over, and I'm like, hey, I made this beer. You should try it. And little did I know, they don't really tell you the directions are kind of subpar and those things.
Right.
And I use regular table sugar to carb the bottles and stuff instead of using corn sugar, because they just said sugar.
Right.
So I'm just, putting that in there, and he's tasted it. He's like, well, it's beer, I think.
I think it's going to get you fucked up.
Yeah. So after that, my wife actually bought me my first homebrew kit that actually had everything. Started out like everyone else, extract brewing for a little while, and then took the switch to all grain. But I've been brewing for a little over 10 years or so now, and still loving it. I have 4-tap kegerator. I keep tapped all the time. My wife's not a big beer drinker, so I always do a sour for her.
Nice.
That's just her thing. So I promised her 1 tap, and she's pissed at me right now because I don't have one.
You're brewing a lot,
check it out.
man. Do you keep those 4 taps pretty much occupied, or is it kind of hit or miss like me? I mean,
Yeah.
I haven't had 2 beers
And
on
of course, some of
forever.
them I drink faster than others. I mean, it depends on
The
which
style.
beers are on.
Right.
And then some of them I have to drink to get them gone so I can brew another one. And part of it's because I want to brew for the channel. And also, I bring a bunch of beers to, my homebrew club. My neighbors stop over. I got friends that come over on the weekends, and they know just to not bring beer because I'm going to have some.
That's
If
awesome.
you want to bring a couple 6-packs, cool. But help me drink the 20 gallons I got in there so I can make some more.
Do you put a little tip jar on top of the fridge?
No. they
I
just
tried
said
it. People aren't going to put shit in there anyways. People are going to have come over with $200 tips coming from bartending or valeting. They're not going to put $1 in that. So don't try to put it up there, man. Friends are freeloaders.
That's right. And I don't mind they freeload, but I did have to buy the spring tap handles because they'd leave them open or they'd only pull them halfway or something like that, and they'd spill beer everywhere. And so I'm like, spring loaded taps for me.
Yeah, and I've said it before, and I'll say it again. Homebrewers are the best pourers on planet Earth. Homebrewers are the best beer tenders because when you're brewing a 5-gallon batch, or 5-gallon, and you only get 4.5, every ounce counts. So when you have a friend comes over, your buddy brings over that stupid chick that nobody likes, and she's just sitting there like, just wasting all this foam. It's like, no. That's going to happen once.
A little bit and pulling a little bit, and it's like just straight foam.
Yeah, they've got the glass straight up, and it's a foot down, so it's just splashing everywhere. It's like, no. There's a way to pour beer, and there's a way not to pour beer, and you just fucked that up.
Get over here!
Yeah, you fucked that up good. What up, Northwest Small Batch? Before we talk a little bit about your channel, man, I want to give a shout out to the videos that I watched this week. I watched a good vlog from the Brew Show on his trip out there and the land down under. That was awesome. That was cool to get some terminology, see what they're doing out there. Some beautiful shots. Always see that one building or that one crazy place. I didn't know it was an opera house, the Sydney Opera House, but I feel like everybody who goes to Australia, you got to go to that, right?
Get over here!
Sparger Brewing. I've never brewed on an anvil, but I love my Brewzilla. It's all good. It's one of those things where, like, you're never really going to know unless you brew on a couple systems. You brew on 3, 4, 5 systems, you can kind of find the pros and cons, but if you just get one system and dial it in, stick with it. Who cares what else is on the market or what else is going on?
Wow.
What up, Chris Vodka, Bodine's Brews?
That's kind of why I still do the Rubbermaid coolers and stuff. I got that thing knocked in, and why change a good thing? Because I already know what my system does. I hit my efficiencies, and actually I kind of like the fact that I'm using that for the channel a little bit because that's how most people get started, right? And so everybody elevates up and gets some, all in one system or a claw hammer system or something. And I've got friends that have them, and they kind of give me crap about, hey, where's all your shiny fermenters in here?
Right.
But at the same time, it's like, this is what people want to learn on.
Yeah, and I think that I kind of took some heat for that because when I first started doing the channel, it was like DIY, how to save money, how to make the Home Depot cooler or the Rubbermaid coolers and this and that. And I would use those things till they were warped, man. I went through probably like 4 of those things till like it was so warped I'd have to look at it with almost a magnifying glass to make sure there wasn't a crack in there. But you get your money's worth. You get your money's worth. I mean, what do those things go for? $50? And then the ball valve is probably half that price. So you can make it for $75. And I think at the homebrew stores, they were selling them for like $150 or $200. And I was like, nah.
Easy.
Yeah. Or they'd have the little sparge arm with the PVC, the X going across. And I was like, dude, you could build that for a couple bucks, drill some holes without even thinking about it. Like, this is not a hard thing to do at all, you know? So
you had a video where like you used a spoon or something like that, didn't you?
Yeah, I'd always use the spoon.
Right.
Unless it's coming from boil, like you can get away with a lot of stuff, a lot of cooking stuff, a lot of plastic stuff, a lot of wood stuff. When I first started reading homebrew books, it was like, don't use a wooden spoon, don't use a plastic spoon, don't use a metal spoon. I was like, fuck that, man. I used everything. Like, I don't know. There was just so many chapters and articles and essays that I think that they were just writing just to fill pages with scare tactics. I was like, no, man, like you're talking from a stainless steel spoon to a wooden spoon. Oh, it's going to extract the wood and bacteria. It's like, no, it's not. It's
Dude,
not.
You're putting that in boiling wort.
You're putting that, dude. I'll take a piss in this wort. I'll spit in this wort. Like everyone's got to kind of chill out and relax a little bit.
Yeah, my second beer I ever brewed, extract brew, was a Oktoberfest, or it was like a faux Oktoberfest because it wasn't a true lager. But I had to dunk my entire hand in sanitizer and then put it in my beer to find the O-ring from my lid that fell into the beer.
I've been there.
And that was like one of the best beers I made. And I thought I totally ruined it because, you read stuff online and you're like, oh, man, now that my arm wasn't sanitized properly and I infected it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it is. It's not really hard to get an infection, but how many infections have you had over, I don't know, how many batches of beer have you brewed over these last, 13 years? Not counting like Mr. Beer and stuff like that, even though shout out to Mr. Beer for withstanding the test of time.
Getting how many of us into homebrewing probably.
Yeah, but, and they're probably at like Walmart and Macy's and
I think I bought mine at like Bed Bath and Beyond or
something. Like how'd they get those accounts? Yeah, it's in it's in Pier 1 Imports, and you go to Tiffany's to buy your chicken necklace. I got fucking Mr. Beer like on the.
Yeah, I don't know how many actually true
style
infections I've had though. I've had a lot of like off flavors, of course. You're gonna get those, especially when you're new, and a lot of it has to do with temperature regulation stuff. But but I really haven't opened up mine and seen like, the pec tile on top where you see, other pictures and stuff. And so maybe I've just done a better job of sanitizing, or maybe I've just been anal about that, like making sure everything's super clean. I've had friends that just leave, like I clean my stuff right away. I've had friends that like get way too drunk and then they clean it the next morning or a couple days later and their stuff's just
It's bad.
terrible.
Yeah.
You just got to get it done and get it right away.
I've got some really weird stories. I've got a really weird story about leaving my grain in my mash tun for a couple weeks, but I had the lid on. The lid's not airtight. We're talking the Home Depot cooler.
Yeah.
And I opened it up one time and I looked at it and there was just like a million of those little mealworms. I don't know how they got in there.
Yeah.
I don't know how that happened, but I looked at it and they just started moving. I just ran out of my garage, middle of the day, dead sober, just like,
It wasn't those little weevil things, right? Like not the ones that get into the grains.
It's the little ones from the horror movies when they dig up a body in a grave and they've got the skull.
Like maggots.
Yeah, I saw that and I was just thinking like, how the fuck did these little things get in there? And I remember asking around and all my homebrewer buddies were like, I don't know. I just don't know. It was there for about 2 weeks and it was just gross, man. Hey, we got a super chat here from Bodine's Brews, man. Much love, dog. For all of us that started on a Mr. Beer kit. Shout out to Bodine's Brews, always showing love. It's good to be back on these Wednesdays that are at 9 o'clock at a decent hour, at the regular hour, not on a Thursday, man. Much love, Bodine's Brews, man. That $20 will go to probably some cat food. I just fed my last can to my 2 stray cats. But you're going to see stuff like that, brewing beer, and I'm going to say that in this Anvil video because I think I shocked myself and I got burned a couple of times. It's like, it's going to happen if you're brewing, If you're brewing, sooner or later, you're going to get electrocuted and you're going to burn your hands or you're going to cinch your eyebrows off. I've done that a couple times.
Right.
Yeah.
The
burner's not working. Turn it up. The burner's not working. Who's got the barbecue lighter? I don't know. Maury's smoking a cigarette. Let me use your little Bic. And I get like the fire marshal bill.
I just switched mine to natural gas so I don't have to keep buying propane stuff. And
you did the
The
thing?
best thing I ever did.
You rigged it from your house?
Yeah.
Dude.
Yeah, that was
that's next level. Hey, you're drinking high wire beer.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Low pitch.
hazy.
Oh yeah, I know that one. Oh yeah.
Yeah, the kitchen from my garage where I had my little homebrew set up is right on the other side of the wall. So I already had a gas stove right there.
Okay.
So I could just tee off, go right through the wall. So it's fairly easy.
Damn.
And then I used the quick connects and the hose to go right to it. And then I bought you just need to change the little orifice thing out. But I bought a whole new burner because I needed a better burner. I used the same burner for like up until last year. And
Dude.
so switch that thing out. And that thing is, like you fire up a propane one. It's like a jet engine.
Right.
Just.
Right.
And this thing is so quiet. I can hardly tell it's on. It's crazy. Actually, if you turn it down to a lower, because it closes it off a little more, it's actually louder when it's not fully open.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
I can actually film now while it's going without it being like in the background.
Right. No, good for you, man. I think you're the third homebrewer I've ever met who's done that. I know Donnie did that back in the homebrewing days, and maybe Larry or something, but there's only one other person. But that's a power move. That's an advanced. I mean, you've got to have some blue collar kind of construction background to get away with that, chopping into your gas lines and stuff like that. And I don't recommend doing that if you're a renter. Something tells me you own your house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I'm pretty handy. I actually built a 24 by 10 foot patio the last 2 weeks off the back of my house.
Nice, dude.
But
that's what I used to do.
It's hot as crap in the summer, and this summer is worse than most. And so I was like, I need some ceiling fans and some shade.
It's bad right now. It's bad in Knoxville, but it did cool down the last couple of days.
It did here too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's very nice.
Yeah.
It actually felt like not hot in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah. Last week was brutal though. Last week was, it was brutal in San Diego a couple weeks ago. And think about San Diego. It's not as hot, but nobody has air conditioning.
Oh yeah.
I mean, some people have air conditioning, but the older houses, they don't have AC. So you're just sitting there, 3 fans on you. One
put
on
a window in their
junk.
bedroom.
Yeah.
A window unit or something.
Yeah. So it's kind of give or take. San Diego's not as hot, but, you're dealing with fans, but out here it's hot. But just get inside and crank that shit to 72 real fast.
That's right.
Right on, man. Much love to everybody who subscribed to Dennis's channel, and much
Thanks,
love
guys.
to
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. Shout out to Bodine's Brews again and Northwest Small Batch Brewing. So how are you with your YouTube relationship right now? Are you stoked? Are you kind of feeling the blues? Is it about?
No, actually, I'm doing pretty well, actually. So my whole goal right away after I figured I was doing it for more than just my homebrew club was to, just put out a crap ton of content so people didn't go to my page and I had like 5 subscribers and 2 videos. And so I just started putting them out, and actually last summer I was putting out like 1 every week, and that was like way overkill. I should have done that. But you live and you learn, right? So I have like 116 videos, believe it or not, on my channel right now. So,
that's a lot.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And so some of them are, when I was putting them out, got like 100 views, and now I'm getting to the point now where I've gotten better with the content, I feel like, in the last year, and you just learn and live a little bit, and you just see what everybody else is doing, and you kind of up your game a little bit. But at first, my second video I ever put out was the kind of learn to homebrew all grain, and I was like, I'm just gonna do the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's 47 minutes long.
That got like 30,000 views, right?
Yeah, and so that one is actually my most popular video. It gets like 200 views a day. It's crazy.
Good.
And that one, I'm kind of happy it did, even though the sound quality sucks and like there's no like visual, background or nothing. But it was kind of like everything you need to know in one video on learning on to homebrew, and I've learned a whole bunch since. But
do you think that your YouTube channel helps you become a better brewer? Because if you're putting this out there, you kind of want to have your what am I trying to say? Your T's crossed and your lowercase J's signed, so you know what you're doing.
Is it me? Yeah, you're frozen on my end. Are you frozen?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Just your video is frozen.
Let me check this out really quick. Let's go to
there. I can see you.
How about now?
Yep.
Yeah, for those who are asking questions, yeah, Maury did brew this beer. Trevor sent this to me yesterday, sent me a killer porch bomb, and big shout out to South O. This beer is really good. For a West Coast IPA, they nailed it. A little malty, a little honey vibe, but definitely West Coast IPA coming through. It's malty, but not like dank. But this is a really good beer, man. Shout out to South O if they're in here right now. Much love, Trev. Thank you.
So to answer your question, yeah, I think it makes you actually do a little more research into the topics you really want to talk about too. Right. You think you kind of know it, and then you have to really dive into, the water chemistry and the other stuff and you actually just learn a lot by teaching kind of, And so, to me, that's one thing I feel like I've perfected over the last couple of years is that I didn't do as good of job in the water chemistry and mash pH and things like that. But talking about it and reading more about it and trying to feel like you know a little bit more about it than the average person and wanting to talk about it has really changed the way I actually set up my recipes and stuff that I use. So to answer your question, yeah, absolutely. This may be a better brewer.
Yeah, and a lot of, to help out with brewing and filming and editing, just focus on the what, not the why. Like, hey, what am I putting in here? Like, what's my beer salts? Why am I doing the 2-to-1 ratio? Like, what am I doing? If I want to know the why, that can go down a rabbit hole for a very long time. You can go all the way down to chemistry and Breaking Bad shit. Sure. So with brewing, it's kind of that Venn diagram between how much fun and, how nerded out you want to get with that. And I just kind of learned pretty quick with the Homebrew for Life videos that I think it was more engaging if it just kind of went more, I hate to say the word like outgoing or personality driven or whatever, but I just thought it would be funnier to have like 90s clips and stuff like that. Cause when I finally started looking at my analytics, do you look at your analytics? I do. Yeah. So when I see like, damn, there wasn't one girl in here, there's nobody under 25 and there's nobody over 55 except maybe my dad. What's that?
That's like every brewing channel.
That's every brewing channel. So it's like, okay, maybe we should focus on a lot more maybe retro stuff or 80s or 90s stuff. And that kind of worked. And I think when people see something they saw from the 80s or some G.I. Joe shit or whatever I chop in there, I think that they stick around more. God damn it. Did I cut out again? Did they lose me again?
Yeah, the video, I can still hear you.
One sec.
What's everybody drinking in the chat? Trying to keep up with this too, but I'm not doing a good job of reading all this.
All right, hopefully third time's a charm. But to go back to what I was talking about, I think the more I kind of went down more the nerdy stuff or the in-depth stuff, I think I was losing my audience a little bit. And I think that there's people out there that do want to hear that. I think that's maybe an older generation that can kind of sit through more of like a rant or somebody that's just kind of talking for a minute or two without any B-roll. But I think for the most part, you got to kind of be like wham, bam, bam, bam. And people write on the comment sections like, hey, like that was so ADHD'd out. And it's like, well, it kind of has to be because I'm kind of competing with ADHD. You know, like I think the average person's probably watching our YouTube videos, but then staring at a phone. And then, another Pornhub thing shows up or whatever, another link or notification.
Once that shows up, you're gone. Yeah.
Once that shows up, they're out, So
they're out. I think you do a good job about that actually is changing, especially even if you're talking, changing what people are looking at. I've tried to add more of the B-roll stuff when I'm just talking because I've got a lot more videos now to pull from.
Yeah.
And so I probably need to do a better job about that even in my videos because I find myself rambling on and then I'll be like editing out like half of what I said just so it's not so dang long.
Yeah, I think a good way to start with the YouTube video is maybe start at like 15 minutes, look at that, and then maybe look at 12 minutes, and then go to 10 minutes, and then go to 8 minutes, and then kind of just go with your meat and potatoes, and then find your B-roll or whatever over that. But what I'm trying to do now as far as content goes, like if I do a grain to glass video that's 9 minutes long, I want like 1 minute of that to actually be beer footage, because I've done like 200 of these shots, mash it in and with the paddle and stuff like that. Elementary knows what I'm talking about. The Brew Show knows what I'm talking about. Gnome knows what I'm talking about. Jaggers, what's up, man? He knows what I'm talking about. So, yeah, that's kind of the grain to glass video I'm going for these days. It's like, can I make a 9-minute video but only show like 60 seconds of B-roll of pouring water or mashing in or I don't know. So it's just a really tough thing to do. But at the end of the day, like it's definitely made me a better brewer. And I'm stoked off the Climber system now. All the others came out, helped me out with it, connected it. The Climber system's kind of tricky when you first get it. There's a little bit of kind of weird DIY stuff to piece together. But after that, it's been a breeze. It's been perfect so far. I've only brewed on it like 4 or 5 times, but
nice.
Flawless.
My buddy has a clawhammer system. He's got the 250 set up in his garage, and he actually put an air conditioner unit through the wall. And so I go over there, help him brew every once in a while. So I've helped brew on that. He runs the show. I just drink all of his beer.
Nice.
And then so we go over there, and so I've seen that in action. It's a nice system. It's a good setup. I mean, all in one, and he has it sitting on a rolling cart, so he can kind of move it around. And
yep,
it's nice.
Yeah, that's next level, man. When people have the big one and they have the, does he have the dolly or the pulley system that gets it up, or is he doing it manually?
Yeah, he's got a pulley system that he pulls it up and then puts the little legs under it.
How much does that cost? That pulley system?
I think he just bought the pulley. I think he hooked it up into the rafters in his garage or something.
And just does it manually? Because I remember Sarah Flora, maybe it was Sarah Flora, but somebody had the button. I know that Elementary has the pulley. Somebody actually had the button though. I was like, that's a lot of that. That just seems very expensive to
And some of the pulls you just like one hand. I think Elementary Brewing's last video, he just says, I had this thing even rigged up wrong, but now I can just pull it with like one hand and I'm ready to go.
Yeah, no, that was great, man. I love Elementary's brewing videos, man. Every time I get the notification for that, man, I put that up on the big screen. I think that's the best way to watch brewing channels is to put them on a television, because that way I'm going to be way less distracted. And I really want to see what people are doing. I want to see the production value. I want to see the cryo hops, the new stuff. I feel like every video I watch now, there's something new going on. I feel like homebrewing has changed faster as far as fermenters and systems going in the last 3 years by far.
And more competitive, so it's gotten a little cheaper for some of those other systems.
Competition is good. It's good for us. Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, it's going to breed a lot of innovation. It's going to filter out a lot of shitty stuff. I kind of feel weird doing this Anvil Foundry video. It's a lot easier just to work with people that are like, hey, let me send you some hops, or let me send you some yeast, or let me send you some grain. Because that way, like, you can't really lie to anybody. Like, oh, this is the best thing in the world. This is the best grain. This is the best yeast. You're fine. But if somebody sends you a piece of shit fermenter and it's a gimmick, and you're like, well, this is so good, you know, and this and that, people start buying it and they got a business in here. It's like, damn, that sucks. And I have been there. I did that a couple of years ago. Like 4 or 5 years ago. But, yeah, I mean, everything's just got crazy now. Cryo hops, Lupomax hops, hop oil. You know, I don't,
the amount of Kvike strains that are coming out now, you know, all that stuff is, you know, I brewed a Kvike a few years ago, but now like everybody's got them. And it's great for new brewers, I guess, and people who, you know, can't temperature control and all that kind of stuff. Because I made a lot of shitty beer when I couldn't temperature control or didn't know enough about it to do it. And now it's like, oh, just use Kvike. You don't even need to worry about it really. You know, especially in the summertime, and like right now it's like 90 degrees. If you're just throwing it in a bedroom, you're gonna have nasty beer.
Yeah,
right now.
Let's go with Mother Nature. And another thing about Kvike is I've seen it a couple times. I saw it in San Diego a couple times, and I've seen it out here in Knoxville. But it's actually the first yeast I've ever seen used as a marketing tool. You know, because you look at a beer menu and it's got, you know, Mosaic or Citra or Eldorado or this and that. Sometimes you see Kvike up there, Quake, or however, you know, Peter from Genius screams it out when he's filming his weird shit. But that's the first time I've ever seen a yeast, because you'll never just see like, I mean, maybe you will, but I've never seen like London Fog on there, or California 001, or
I'm
Omega.
trying to think if I've ever seen it.
Yeah.
Maybe Lutra or something somebody put on there one time, but yeah, usually you're seeing brewed with so much hops,
right?
Or whatever, right?
Yeah, and that creates that whole new competitive marketing thing we were talking about. Now all the yeast are trying to like brand their shit like it's a hop,
right?
Yeah.
Right.
You've never seen it for grain. You'll never see it. You'll never see it for beer salts.
Brewed a 2-row.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird as hell if you start putting beer salts on your brewery's menu. People looking up there like gypsum, like drywall's in this. I don't know if I want that.
Yeah. Speaking of watching it on your TV too, and digging into the analytics of the channel, I was surprised how many people actually do that. It actually shows you how many people watch it from like a device versus like a TV.
iOS, yeah.
It's crazy how many people watch it from a TV. I think it was a good percentage. It was like 40%. I was like, what? That's a lot higher than I thought it was going to be.
Not only that, but I think of all the things that I pay for, like Hulu or Netflix or whatever, I still think I watch YouTube the most. So everyone's getting my television traffic, whether it's a BrewTube channel or not.
Yeah, because I do the YouTube Premium, and I have it, I guess, on, you know, Fire Sticks or Google, you know, Chromecast and stuff like that. And so they're always pre-installed on those things. So you just hook up your thing and you're watching shows on there. I guess it makes sense.
Yeah, and I don't think I could really watch like a 15-minute, not a 15-minute, I don't know, a 10-minute grain to glass video on a phone. I just don't think something would happen that would would keep me distracted, whether it was a Snapchat thing or a group text or an Instagram group text. And next thing you know, you're off it and you're like, damn, I was enjoying that video. And then you go back to it, but you go back to the YouTube homepage and there's 10 other videos and it's like Jonah Hill's in trouble for like beating the shit out of a chick or something. And you're like, you click on that and you're like, you don't even know what video you're watching. Yeah. Now you're just down like the rabbit hole, you know?
Or you forget like which channel you're watching and you're like, I've done that before where I'm watching the channel and I was like, oh crap, I want to watch the rest of that. And you have to go like browse through the history of videos.
What was I watching? Yeah. Then you see, oh, that song showed up. Oh yeah, Madonna hung up, or A Star Is Born, this and that. And I'm clicking on that now, and I'm just like, oh man, I got to go watch this on the TV or else I'm never going to go back to this video on
Right.
the, on the BrewTuber and this and that. So there's a lot of ADHD. There's just a lot of competition. The name of the game is just try to tell a good story and keep people's attentions, whether it's production based, like production value, or just super informative or personality driven, whatever, however you shape your style. And that's what I love about the BrewTube community is like everyone's got a certain style. Like I know what to expect with the Brew Show, Clawhammer, Elementary Brewing, Party Time. There's going to be some antics here. There's going to be some straightforwardness here. Apartment Steve's going to hit me with a lot of new shit that I didn't know about. Something new,
Right.
something cool, some crazy style. He just did like an old ale or he did an old ale. I remember at the end of the video, he was like, thanks for sitting through this video. I know everyone just wants to click on like the hazy IPA videos. And I was like, motherfucker, dude, I'm uploading one of these tomorrow, But looking at a YouTube menu when 8 things show up is kind of like looking at a brewery menu. It's like, what am I going to go to? Am I going to go to like the rock beer, the smoked beer? No, I'm probably not going to get that. Oh, here's the Brew Show with a hazy IPA video with a beautiful beer with a pool in the background, all blue. Think
Right.
of ocean. It's like, where does your mind go? With
Right.
the black mirror mosquito to a lantern. So
That's
yeah,
a big one. Is the thumbnails they draw you in. That you have to make a good thumbnail.
yeah. And I always do the clickbait thing where it's like me and a black eye, and then I'll swap it out a couple days later to go after. Because like in the 3 first days, I'll go after like the community tab, the people that know it's going to be a dick off bullshit video, what to expect. And then 3 days later, it's like, hey, let's actually go for the unique visitor. Let's go for the search click now. So if somebody was to search hazy IPA recipe, hopefully this video can show up.
Right.
Yeah, this
Right.
and that. So at that point, it's not even YouTube. It's pretty much just advertising at that point,
Right. Right.
So YouTube's a whole different thing. But I was talking with Kyle from Clawhammer a couple of years ago, and he was like, you should work backwards, start with the title and the thumbnail, work on that, and then go from there. Because typically, like, you're going to do a grain of glass video, you're going to edit it, and you're going to spend so much time and so much effort. And whether the beer is good or not, that's good for us. That's good for us as brewers getting better. But that doesn't really mean anything, There's no like scratch and sniff YouTube thing
and
out there.
That's part of it, because like you watch these things on making a better thumbnail and title, and it's like, hey, do this to make your beer better. But in reality, the people who just want to go there and find out what you're doing don't want to watch like the first 15 minutes of your video to find out you're talking about like something. So I think it works in some channels. It may not work as well in the beer brewing sector of YouTube, but because one of my videos I think I labeled it something like why does your beer have this homebrew taste? And it's really talking about like water chemistry and stuff. But if you really want to search water chemistry, you're not necessarily going to find that video because the title and stuff. But I did get a lot of clicks on it, and it actually did really well, really fast right away. But later on, a year later, if somebody's searching that, I guess I could always change the channel, or change the title. But is someone going to find that video who really wants to know more about water chemistry?
Yeah. And people do that. What I'm saying, yeah, I mean, like what I'm saying, when I used to like struggle to put content out, and I always struggle. I would think every video is my last video. I mean, I kind of believe that, but I know it's not. But I'd always put my thumbnail out at the end, because in your mind you think like, oh, I painted this picture. Everyone's going to watch it and look at it from the start to the finish. And you look at your analytics, you're like, whoa. This is a serious reality check. And it was always the same thumbnail of like me screaming or doing some dumb, stupid shit. So I don't know. I think sometimes it just helps to work backwards. And that rolls over to like a lot of different things, maybe,
Right.
I don't know.
I guess I got in the habit of doing it afterwards too, but now I just kind of think about it ahead of time. I don't necessarily put it together first, like the title and the thumbnail, because I kind of know what I'm going to do anyway. I just try to think of a way to make it interesting, and of course, flashy. It's going to show up with the 15 other videos that are going to show up on your welcome page. And so, like, I kind of put a little border around mine that's like all yellow and this little cityscape thing, so people kind of pick it out, and then usually some bright colors and stuff in the background. so it kind of sticks out.
I have a suggestion from you. Get rid of all that for one video and just have like Topanga with her titties out, or, you know, the Tool Time girls or something, you know, just get something like a girl in there with some vibrant colors, with some Fanta chicks. Just go the ultimate like eye candy approach and just see what happens. And if it doesn't do anything, just go back to what you wanted to do anyways.
Yeah, it's worth a try.
Topanga with her titties hanging out. Wow. Only in dreams, baby. Only in dreams. Yeah.
Now I'm Google searching that.
Topanga, you never watched Boy Meets World?
Oh no, that's on Google searching. See if I can find her with her titties hanging out.
Get a little coconut bra on there, popping out of a cake or something. That'd be cool. What a Blackwood in the house. Damn, we have 70 people in here right now. This is awesome. And for those who are, does this feel like 45 minutes has gone by, Dennis?
No, I feel like I'm on my first beers.
I know.
I'm almost ready for my third.
It goes by fast. And next thing you know, it's like 5 hours in. We're talking about fucking COVID, and I'm taking it down. No, I'm just kidding. We're not going to do that tonight. But no, this is awesome. But for those who just got in here, this is Dennis out there in Charlotte. He's got a YouTube channel. Check him out, Cityscape. We got a link in the description. Like I said, it's free to subscribe. While we're at it, subscribe to these guys' channels too. Elementary, Party Time Brewing, Jaggers. Who else puts out content? Yeast in the Barrage. I've got a clip of him in my next video too. Feels like 47 minutes. Fucking James, man. Love you, dog. Somebody asked earlier, what happened to Short Circuited Brewer? I don't know. I've never really, I do talk to him. I think he's one of those guys, kind of like Prost with Peter. If he's not putting out content, he is a recluse. That's cool. That's fair. Live your life. But maybe somebody in here might talk to him and they might know what's going on with him. And he came out for a little bit, maybe like 6 months ago. And I know he had I believe it was a shoulder surgery, a torn labrum. And I thought he was good to go. But I don't know. Maybe you put out a couple videos and you spend a lot of time doing it, give up a couple Saturdays and Sundays, and it doesn't do so hot, and it's time to get another shoulder surgery. No, I'm just kidding. It's just time to, focus on what's important and stuff like that. But I don't know. But I hope he's well. Shout out to Brian from Short Circuited out there in not Cincinnati. He's out there in like Columbus or something. But
I didn't even think about the fact that he was gone. I used to watch a bunch of his videos, and I haven't.
He was OG.
Yeah, and I haven't seen him forever, and I guess I just kind of forgot until somebody just brought it up.
Yeah, he had. I think he was like one of the first channels I remember to have like 20 or 30,000 subscribers, and I was like, whoa, man, like this guy's famous. He's probably like quit his day job, and then I got 20,000 subscribers, and I was like, I'm broke as fuck, man. I had no idea what I was talking about. Like this whole subscriber thing's kind of like, it's cool and you got to appreciate everybody who watches your videos, but like, I think you need like a couple 100,000 subscribers on YouTube to really contemplate maybe doing it full time. And at that point, like maybe you don't even want to do it full time, like the psyche of brewing and putting your face on the internet. It's always good to have, I think, a balance of just not going so crazy, just not just burning yourself out.
Yeah, and it's fun when it's a hobby. I guess when it's like full time, then you stress out about stuff, right? If it's just like the side gig you do, you take it serious, but it's not a live or die type of thing. If you like quit your job and this is your only thing, and all of a sudden like, oh my god, I gotta do this. It feels like more like work. I guess I would think of it that way. Yeah,
and from my little experience of like catching glimpses of doing this full time. You're never going to get the money in the ad revenue. You're just not, So I had a video from last week that got 10,000 views, or it's coming up on 10,000 views. That's a great, I'm super thankful that 10,000 people watched that video. That's like $70 in ad revenue. Ron Barnes show.
Most YouTubers, even the ones that have millions, they make more money on the stuff that they're advertising and selling and pushing in their videos, right?
Yeah. And, one thing I've kind of learned in these last couple of years, and again, I talked to Kyle a lot too. He's kind of been my mentor in this and that of, kind of being more aggressive. And because you get to a certain threshold and there's just so much copy paste shit where people send you, make this video, collab. They haven't watched 1 second of your content. They're just, it's just a bot. Really quick, I want to give a big shout out to Ron Barnes, showing love. Always here, man. Love Ron Barnes. Where are the Where are the must-go-to breweries in Charlotte? We'll talk about that in a second. I would love to know that too. But you really have to be. It's not going to happen in merch sales or affiliate marketing. It's gonna be getting sponsorships up front. You know, so if somebody comes to you and they're like, "Hey, we've got this new thing and this and that, we'll send you a free fermenter for." To you make a review video on that, but you have to be aggressive and be like, hey, this video is going to take me about 40 hours. It's going to take a brew day. I need $1,000 or I need $200 or I need $2,500. I didn't do that up until about, I don't even know. So if someone does come to you and they're like, hey, I want to do this, I want to do that, just like anything that's like worth it, you know, at the end of the day, Northern Brewer will send you free stuff. There's a lot of, more beer, they'll send you free stuff, but it's like, if you give me money, I can, which sounds super cringy right now, but I can make more of a video like based around that. And I'm going to put more like shout out to you than just doing like, hey, and use like coupon code city #_ homebrew for life for like 3% off, this and that. Like you'll actually, like if someone gives you money, it makes it real. But even that, like, unless those things are coming in consistently every week for, X amount of, and it's not going to happen, so you just got to,
it's either one-time thing or they're giving you free stuff. And
yeah, unless you have, I know Jesse from Still It, I was hanging out with him and he was, we met in Asheville. We partied with Climber. We made a couple of videos and he was like, it's not even, it's worth it for the sponsors. He's like, I just throw out a number so high. He's like, I know these companies spend so much money on advertising and magazines and Google ad revenue. He's like, I just throw out a number that's like, hey, you want like a video? $5,000. I was like, I can never do that. Maybe I should. I'd start high and work low. But he was like, I just throw it out. Sometimes you get it and sometimes you don't. And I was like, dude, fuck you, dude. You have like 300,000 subscribers on your channel, man. Like, one, like, you've got a lot more leverage.
Easy on us,
yeah, man. Like,
especially on me.
Hey, take it easy, man. But at the end of the day, somebody asked me this a couple years ago, like, where do you see yourself in 2 years? Like, here's what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be making Homebrew for Life YouTube videos, and I'm probably going to be a bartender or pouring beers. And that's the way I want it, like,
right.
Hang out, be a loser, edit all day, try to make yourself look cool on the internet, and then go out and see people, what's going on, talk about beer, face-to-face interaction, no Black Mirror shit, old school, shaking hands and saying what's up, But
and that's part of the coolness of the hobby. Like I feel like the people who actually reach out or email me or leave comments or something is because they truly want to know about the craft and stuff, and it's actually feel a little rewarding, not just to help those people who are new at it, and helping them out. Like at some point, that's one thing too, is like, as a YouTuber, you kind of like are always thinking of ideas to put on a channel and stuff. And so if somebody wants to know something more about something, just, hey, let me know, man. I'm always looking for ideas to put a video out. And so, tell me what you want to know more about or what we don't have enough videos on. Cause we're probably putting out the same, like, getting grain to glass. We're typically showing the same stuff in the video as we're making
same
them.
B-roll.
Well, yeah. And maybe we're missing a whole, spot that or question that people have that they just don't know much about.
No, I hear that. Really quick, I want to give some shout outs, man. We got Nicholas Mellon, just became a barrage member for 6 months, man. My Belgian orange tastes like bananas. That's what Belgians taste like. Big shout out to Nicholas, man. Much love. Bananas and baby little Big League Chew bubble gum. Patrick Buckles, man. Much love, man. Come on down. Come on down. Patrick. Shout out to Patrick. Back to Ron Barnes' question, though, and I do want to know about this because I've never been to Charlotte, but it's my favorite fucking airport in the world, man. Every time I'm in the Charlotte airport, I feel like I'm Cartman at Funtown Land. I see that mechanical bowl people are on. I know it's a huge hub, but I've never.
It is.
Yeah.
Super busy, too. And
Best airport in America.
I have a love-hate relationship with it because we fly out of there a lot. Actually, I drive to Asheville a lot to fly out, to be honest with you.
Asheville Airport is the exact opposite of Charlotte,
I know.
man.
But
Asheville is like bedrock, like Flintstone shit. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like 5 minutes to your to your gate because there's like nobody in there. But they started a direct flight to Minneapolis, and since I'm from there to visit family, I go to Asheville a lot, fly out of there. But they just started one out of Charlotte too, but Charlotte's airport is so busy, and it's because it's the East Coast hub between, if you're not going all the way to Atlanta,
Right.
but they have everything that you're going to Florida and Orlando and all the vacation spots,
Yes.
and everyone up northeast, right? So it's super busy with just connection flights. I think most of it
Gets me to San Diego. I go to Knoxville to Charlotte to San Diego now.
yeah,
On
so
American.
they'll fly.
Yeah.
Right. They'll fly to all the major spots from that spot, because the other airports northeast and Atlanta are always obviously busy. But other than those, Newark and others, that's probably the busiest one on the East Coast. But in the Charlotte area breweries,
Don't say Highwire. We're to
no,
talk
no,
about Highwire.
no. So one of my favorites is Noda Brewing. It's Noda stands for North of Davidson. It's Davidson Avenue, and so it's an area of Charlotte. It's just north of the kind of what they call downtown uptown. And so they're probably one of the larger breweries too that's in the Charlotte area. And they actually sponsor a bunch of cool events, and that's part of why I like them. But they do put out some really good beers. We're doing a event with them called Beer and Branding, where they take a bunch of home brewers and non-professional brewers, and then they match you up with a branding professional, and they make like labels and stuff for the beer that you're brewing, and everybody has to use a secret ingredient. So this year the secret ingredient is maple syrup. Last year it was salt.
I like
And
that.
so you have to kind of, it gets you out of your wheelhouse of thinking about brewing too, and then you meet all these other brewers that show up there, and there's probably, I don't know, 50 brewers, and then they match everybody up with these things, and the six packs and the t-shirts and stuff that the marketing people come up with are awesome. They're super cool. So they'll come up with a design for you. So that's all done through Noda, but they have great beers on tap there in their little tap room, and then they're probably one of the bigger distributors regionally in the Charlotte area. But they put out some pretty good beers locally for like a really small brewery. My favorite by far, I think, as far as all their beers collectively being good, is a place called Slow Play Brewing. It's actually in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Charlotte's right on the cusp of South Carolina border, and so Rock Hill's just over the border of from Charlotte, but it's the largest suburb of Charlotte, even though it's not in North Carolina. And Slow Play Brewing, hands down, probably one of the better top 5 breweries in Charlotte by far.
You brought up a good point earlier, man, and I'm so jealous of that. Like the show Chopped, when they bring the chefs like 5 things. What'd you say? Maple syrup and something else. What was the things that
last year they did the secret ingredient was salt.
Yeah, like you could even do that as a craft cocktail bartender. Like, hey, here's 5 things. We got ketchup, we've got vodka, we've got this and that. We can't do that as brewers. It's like, okay, you've got 5 things. You've got Genius's Peter Lobster, or your maple syrup and your salt. And it's like,
right.
Okay, see you guys back in like 4 weeks. Like it's just not. It's just not. It just doesn't work with beer or wine or whiskey, unless it's already been made.
Yeah. So they have this get together for where they kind of pair everybody up, and they announce it at that meeting. Oh, it's time for another beer. What do you got?
Another South O beer, Sea Rover 4.9 New Zealand Hoppy Pilsner. I call these Hoppy Pilsners, I call them the West Coast Pilsners. This is another brewery my good friend Trevor Morey, I think it was Trevor, sent out to me yesterday. And it's my first time at it, man. I'm getting the virgin sipping right now. Sorry to interrupt, though.
No, that's okay. I'm actually opening up a Wicked Weed Coastal
There we
Love
go, man.
Right
there we go. Uh-huh.
So
I was there
actually
2
took a
weeks
trip
ago.
up there. Yeah, actually, I was too. We're probably in the same area.
This was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but I was there on a Saturday and Sunday, and we were at Wicked Weed. We were at Burial. Burial's, I think, my favorite brewery of all time.
Green Man.
We were at Green Man, and we were at Twin Leaf. What's the one across the street that doesn't get a lot of love?
I don't know, but I tried.
We're talking Asheville for anybody. Yeah.
Wicked Weed has their, what is that? They have their sour place now. I can't remember what it's called. I went there, but like all their beers.
The Funkatorium.
I think
the Funkatorium.
Yeah, the Funkatorium. That's what it is. I went there for the first time last time I was there, and
bro, that's their pilot batch in the back. That system that's on the second story up there. That's their pilot batch, bro.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's like $300,000 pilot batch.
Yeah.
Hey, that's all that Budweiser money, man. I ain't mad. I ain't mad. I didn't grow up working there, or it's not my family's business.
When we first moved here, Wicked Weed had different beers, and then one time I went there, they had like all their beers on tap were like dank beers, and it was like almost like too much. Like, okay, I don't want all my beers to be dank.
Did they sell out yet?
What's that?
Had they sold out to Budweiser yet?
What year did they do that?
Shit, I would probably guess like 4 or 5 years ago, but I'm probably dead wrong.
Okay, so the first time I went there, they hadn't, of course, because I moved here about 8 years ago.
You could tell, like when you go in there, like this is nice and fancy. I feel like this little courtyard is just way too nice for like a little.
Well, no, they had that before they sold out. So they had that 8 years ago.
I'm probably wrong. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know shit.
But they didn't have all the other expansion areas, and they added to the back after.
Right. There's like an event room now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So they didn't have all that when I first moved on. But that was different. All their beers are super sour. I mean, I know it's all mixed fermentation and stuff, but it was like almost lip puckering sour. Like I don't want to that sour all the time, but
no, I know exactly what you're talking about. There's one place like that here in Knoxville where they're barrel-aged sours. They're not kettle sours. They are barrel-aged sours. They are real sours with nasty-looking shit that's on top of their wort and during fermentation that take a year to, get them how they want it. And as much as I love them, we always have one. The 2 or 3 times I've been in the Funkatorium, you get it in that nice like tulip glass. It's not like a champagne flute. It's also not like a tulip glass, but it's got a stem. You're like, dude, everyone's like, this beer's so good. I've been there with Apartment Steve. I've been there with, I was there with my buddy Sean and this girl I'm seeing last week. And we're like, this beer's so good. And we all kind of look around after we finish. We're like, yeah, I think we're good here though. And you're like, check please. You want to do another one? We're like, nah, like, as much as
there's
I love
so many breweries to hit, we could probably go, yeah.
But the real sours are like 3.3 pH. It's like they're so good and they're so nailing it. But it's like a real sour to me is like you're gonna buy it in a 750 milliliter, or you're gonna buy it in a different format. You're not gonna get a 6-pack. You're not gonna drink it on draft all night.
No.
It's a trophy beer. We're celebrating
you
something.
Have one. Then you switch to something else.
Yes.
Type of thing.
It's a fire.
Right.
2017. Big shout out to Ron Barnes, man. So 2017, in my mind, that sounds like 2 years ago. That's like 6 years ago, man.
Wow.
2017, I was like 30. I was 32. Fuck, I'm almost 40 now. Fuck.
I know I just turned 41 last Friday. Jesus.
Hey, man. Happy birthday, man. Cheers,
I'm like
Dennis.
rolling down the other side of the hill. Thank you.
Happy birthday, dog. Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you. Cheers.
So what do you want to do with your homebrewing career? I mean, I always say that because it is kind of a hobby when you start playing around with the YouTube thing. Is there anything that you want to like get involved with commercially? Is it strictly just kind of the community and self-expression thing? Is there a big picture to the time and effort you put into making beer?
I like it as a hobby. I don't know that I would ever. I'm not aspiring at this point to do anything full time, of course, in store, and I'm not, trying or aiming to open up my own brewery. I think I have a good enough recipes but it's so different on a commercial scale, right? Okay, cool. I can make a good beer in my garage, but can you do it, consistently all the time?
Right.
But I have had the experience of brewing at a couple of very small local commercial breweries, because we do these competitions through our homebrew club where if you win them, we partner with our homebrew club specifically has open our members open 5 different breweries in the Charlotte area, believe it or not. And so they've gone on to open breweries, and Slow Play is one of those, even though I didn't even know them when they first were in the homebrew club because I didn't even live here yet. But they were part of our homebrew club. Decided, hey, guess what? We're going to just take the shot, open up a homebrew or a brewery, and they're awesome. I mean, they get a fan base like no other. You go there every night of the week, and they're packed.
That's awesome.
And they don't do food. They have a food truck that's killer though. But that's kind of the way to do it. Like, don't worry about the food. Let somebody else do the food. Right? Do the beer.
Yes.
And so,
I agree 100%.
I know you guys talk about the families and all that kind of stuff. It's family friendly. It's dog friendly, but they don't have like other than like a corner with some board games and stuff, it's not like they're placating and having like a playground, right? But it's cool to bring your families there. So people just bring their families. Like I bring my son, he's 9. We play like Uno at the table, and I have a couple beers,
Nice.
and my wife gets some food, and they have sours for her, so she likes it.
Right.
And so we all just kind of hang out. And if she's gonna pick a place, even though she's not into breweries like I am, like we're going there because they just kind of have a cool atmosphere, and it's fun to hang out with. But it's not like, a daycare. You go in there and it's just pets and dogs and kids everywhere.
Petting zoos, yeah. And I think the biggest thing that, as far as getting more involved in, the commercial brewery thing or being an investor or silent partner, whatever, it's like, I think it's a lot easier to do when you're younger and you don't have a career and you don't have a good, job with benefits or health insurance or whatever,
Right.
So to give up all that stuff. And I've talked to Brian from Short Circuited again. He's like, I really just would have to be a fool to do that,
Yeah.
Like I've got a good thing. I think he's got a big book. I think he sells insurance. He's got, he's been working on his book of business for probably 20 years, and just to kind of give that up and be like, sorry, wife, sorry, freshman daughter in high school, daddy's got to live his own dream now. It's like, nah, you have to be that's a gamble. That's a gamble that could go really fucking bad.
Yeah, and you always see people who do that, and then they buy in too big. They got too big of a system, and they fail. And so there's been several of them that you hope they do well, but they just, unless you're really popular, it's tough. And so you're putting your whole life career on the line, and I didn't talk about this earlier, but my main job, I'm actually a city planner. So I review new development plans and that kind of stuff. And I really like my daytime job, hence the name Cityscape Brewing, because I'm city planner, so all my stuff kind of like city related.
There it is.
And so there it is. That's what ties the knot. So I like what I do enough to not want to do it full time.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if it ever presented itself later on in life and I just hated my job at some point, but right now,
Right.
I really like what I do. And
Right.
so I kind of have the best of both worlds. I like my job. I have this as a cool hobby. It fills my extra time. I get to talk about beers and brewing and stuff like that. I'm part of the homebrew club. It's my hobbies at this point.
Hey man, in my book, you're winning for damn sure.
Right.
Good job, killer family, good thing going on, cool YouTube channel. You're cool as shit. I didn't know you were a dad. I didn't know a lot about you before this. Charlotte, 9-year-old, married, working for the city. Yeah, don't start a brewery unless you really want to go to business with me right now. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I got 4 taps in the garage. That's as close as I'm getting to a brewery, and the neighbors love it, so they don't want me to move.
Yeah, and as long as you can live your life and still be around beer, I think that's sometimes I'm not saying as good as it gets, but I think you got a good thing going on, man.
Yeah, and I think everybody in the back of their mind, they kind of want to be like, hey, I could probably do this. I could probably be But it's more than you think it is.
It's more than you think it is. And I talked to my dad today. My dad called me up. We're talking about that Oppenheimer movie. But anyway, we started talking about the beer I was sent from South O in Oceanside, which is a suburb of San Diego, North County, very far away from downtown at the airport, up there by Camp Pendleton, the big Marine base. But he was talking about, he's like, what's up with Oceanside, man? And I said, what do you mean? He's like, dude, I'm finally like understanding all this dumb shit you're saying about San Diego, about how it's oversaturated. And my dad said something. He was like, there's literally a brewery on every corner now. It's almost like a disease. And I was like, I've never heard my dad talk shit in his entire life. Not like talk shit or complain, but like just say something like that. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, well, there's like 3 more since the last time you left. And I was like, dude, I was there like a month ago. He's like, yeah, there's one now and like on the turnaround here, and then there's another one with the pizza place went out of business. And I was just like, yeah, you really got to know what you're doing, man. You really got to know what you're doing. And San Diego's a different world because there's just so many breweries that it's actually just dumb. I think it's stupid. It's out of control. Unless you go in there with like an insane amount of pockets, an insane amount of, corporate experience. But for the most part, the people that are like, hey, our beer's good, this and that. If you open up a brewery now, you're just dumb. It's just plain and simple. You're going to take out a lot of money. You're probably, sorry, what's up?
Yeah, no. And so like, I think unless you have something different to offer people too, it's like, if you're just like another hole in the wall place that has beers, unless they're fantastic, right? Unless they're like great beers and you're just getting the crowd because of that. You got to have more than just beers on tap. And as much as we hate to say like the families and the dogs and all that stuff, and I don't like going to those places that are just riddled because of that. Like I'll give you a good example. So there's some breweries that have video games and all that kind of stuff like that.
Dude, I was
But
just
their
gonna say
beers
that.
but their beers just suck. I mean,
Yeah.
literally, I like going there for the atmosphere's cool, but I put half a beer back on the bar because it was terrible.
Right.
And it's like, if the beers are good, I'd be here all the time. But they're not.
They're not. A lot of people think
Yeah.
that the atmosphere is bigger than the beer, and there's got to be a certain camaraderie of love. I do think that the atmosphere is bigger than the beer, but the beer still has to be good enough. It's still got to be
Right.
good enough. But that's why
Even
I
if
would
the
go out
beer
of
was
business.
So they would do
Street
awesome.
Fighter. I'd have a Street Fighter 2 bar every night. It'd
Yeah.
be a Street Fighter 2 tournament, and
Yeah.
no girls would be there. It would be the cheapest hole in the wall place in San Diego. I think it'd be cool. It'd look packed because it's only going to be like a 10x10 shed behind like a trailer park in Oceanside. But
With like an extension cord going next door, so you steal power.
hey man, if there's a Street Fighter 2 tournament or a chess club, I like breweries that have chess. But the weird thing about chess is like you can't be like drunk or buzzed if you really want to play a good game of chess. I play a lot of chess, but Street Fighter 2 is like, if I see that going on, I've only seen that once in Knoxville, I'm there. But at the end of the day, it's like how many people give a shit about Street Fighter 2 that think they're really good. It's like there's not many. That's really not going to reel people through the door. But it's just, Dennis, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Anything is a good idea as long as it's done right. I truly believe
Right.
that. Anything on planet Earth is a good idea with good execution, good ideas, pretty much just good concepts and these concepts getting executed.
Right.
In a perfect world, I know that there's like a Street Fighter 2 microbrewery out there on like a 3-barrel system that's just like sleigh balling it. And I don't even want to know about that because it's just gonna fucking piss me off that I'm not involved in that. I'm not the owner of that.
You guys have like video game bars and stuff that have that that aren't breweries, but they have like an arcade bar for like adults. Do you have that?
The thing about that, they've tried it. Like every brewery tries everything, right? Every brewery tries. Here's trivia night. Not only that, but like we'll have different divisions of trivia. Like, hey, this month will be Harriet Potter. This will be Taylor Swift, and some of them blow up and this and that. And all it takes is one of those to blow up to become a thing. So if we like me and you and everybody in here, say Patrick or Goose Fraba, party time. Hey, we go to Knoxville or Charlotte and we show up to video game night, and it hits off. They do it the first Wednesday of every month, and we show up and we have a blast, and people are cheering, and fucking whatever, Mortal Kombat, Killer Instinct, and we're going for it. Like that could be a thing now,
Right.
Every brewery's just trying everything from bingo to singo night on Tuesday, and if you can just hit one thing, don't burn it every night. Like if it's I don't give a shit if it's mullets and mulligans or drag show or whatever. Hone in on that and then kind of like maybe do it 2 times a month or whatever. But either way, those 2 nights that you're popping off, there's a lot of unique visitors, people that have never been in that brewery that now know this establishment. And maybe like they're going to go on a first date now and they want to go on a Monday when it's not busy. Hey, I want to bring somebody here because I love this place and this and that. Maybe not see me on Wednesday night when I'm drunk and I'm screaming and I'm slapping the shit out of everybody with Dolls M and Zangief, But it's just I'm a firm believer that anything's a good idea as long as it's done right, And Dennis, if everybody in here had a brewery on the same street and we all had the same beer and we all had the exact same beer with the exact same square footage with 1 bathroom or 2 bathrooms, 1 guy, 1 girl, we're not all going to make the same money. There's still going to be people that prevail and forge ahead and have better this or cooler bartenders or whatnot. And there's always that. As saturated as it is, there's still always that.
Right. I agree. And so and kind of location next to, then you talk about walkability from brewery to brewery. That's a huge one.
It's the best.
You could be like a so-so brewery and make it really big time because you're on either side of an awesome brewery and you're just on the way.
Right.
And everybody just wants to hit a whole bunch of them to get stickers for their keys or just because they want to hit as many as they want to.
Right.
And they can take a Lime scooter in between all of them and it doesn't really matter. That's kind of how parts of Charlotte are to some extent because as you get closer, there's like a area called South End. There's a ton of breweries in South End, and you could just literally park your car or take a train in and whatever, and you can just hit. You know, you can get on one of them Lime scooters, rent one, go for $1 to a brewery, go 2 blocks, go to another brewery, go to another brewery. One of my favorite breweries that's closer to downtown is called Wooden Robot. They actually have a couple of actual like built wooden robots that they
Wooden
made, like,
Robot. That's a great
really
name for anything.
It's cool.
For a
They've
band.
expanded a lot since I've been here too. They
Wooden
actually have
Robot.
this little like,
I want to buy a
Dude,
T-shirt
look
now. I never even had I never heard of their beer.
look up their logo is awesome because it's actually it's a robot with a cask body. It's pretty cool. But anyway, they have like awesome beers. And when I first moved here, I went there all the time. The last time I went there, I just didn't. Some of the beers were really good still. Some of their selection wasn't my favorite at the time, but I think it's just, it's rotational, of course.
Right.
But they've become this, they have food and stuff now, so they're kind of placating to, who's buying their stuff. And so in some cases, yeah, that's
kind of
right there.
kind of
Yeah,
looks like
man.
Bender a little bit from Futurama, but
If you look
but
through
wooden
the pictures, they actually have like models of those things they've made. It's cool.
Wooden Robot. That might be the greatest brewery name of all time.
Their t-shirts
Wooden
are sweet, too.
Robot.
You need to order one.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
steal all this
So-
shit, man. Wooden Robot IPA.
So they do really good brews and awesome atmosphere, but they're right downtown. I mean, you can see the skyline of Charlotte right there. They're right on the light rail line or a block away, right? So they're right there. You can hit one after the other. You walk down, go to Panthers game, or they have a minor league team called Charlotte Knights Baseball, which is freaking awesome. You can see the skyline of Charlotte, and you just go there for some beers and then leave. And then, but it's super fun. Charlotte's really got a lot going for it for the brewery scene, and it's really different from the south end than it is where Noda is in the north end. There's a whole area of Davidson Avenue that has a whole bunch of different breweries up there, and they just all feel different. Like you go to one area, it all feels like kind of trendy. Everybody's sitting outside and this kind of stuff, and then you go up there and it's
Scenesters.
it's just a different vibe, right?
What do you? How many breweries do you think are in Charlotte? Without talking about satellite tasting rooms, like there's breweries that have 4 or 5 locations. Don't count those.
Yeah,
like
no,
how many
it's-
brands of beer do you think that there are that have public tasting rooms in Charlotte? Like
We
50?
talking like suburbs or like close
Nah,
to
just downtown. Like if you're downtown, you're still gonna have to get Ubers and stuff like that. But I'm not talking
Yeah.
about like the 30 miles away Jester.
Yeah,
How,
right. And you're not just talking like
no, help me out.
Yeah, it's probably
Like 50?
probably in the 20. Well, no, it's probably 25, maybe 30ish range in the like walking distance from downtown, maybe 25. But they have a light rail line, just one right now that goes from the downtown towards the south end of the city, and they have excuse me, they've extended it kind of go north towards the UNC campus also. And so they've gotten some more, and admittedly I just haven't been up there as much, and they probably have a ton more breweries. But as you get out to like the first ring of Charlotte's different than other like major cities in the fact that it doesn't have a lot of suburbs. It just keeps growing. So they do have some suburbs because they've run out of room and they're hitting South Carolina. And so you have like Rock Hill and Fort Mill and others that have incorporated on the other side of the state line. But then they have like
Alias.
Concord and Gastonia. And as you get out, they have more, right? Of course. So there's 50, 60 breweries, as you get further out.
Yeah, I got to make it out to Charlotte. One of my good buddies that I worked with, he was kind of like the last straw. Not the last straw, but he was like the last guy that I really liked working with. He just moved to Charlotte. I got to go out there and visit him. And we always talk about, hey, we can meet at halfway. 2 hours west of you is Asheville. 2 hours east of me is Asheville. I'm like, nah, fuck that, man. Like, I'll just go out to Charlotte.
Yeah,
Charlotte-
Charlotte's cool.
I would love to go out there. I know you guys have. The weird thing about Charlotte is you don't know about all their teams until like you actually talk to some people. Like the Carolina Panthers, they're not the Panthers, or they're not the Carolinas. That's the Charlotte Panthers, correct?
Yeah,
They play in Charlotte.
yes and no. So yeah, they play in Charlotte. They were supposed to have a
Bobcats?
training facility down in Rock Hill, and they were trying to be this two-state team, because we're the Carolina Panthers. We're not just the North Carolina or Charlotte Panthers. And David Tepper, the owner, he just pulled out of that deal after the building was half up, and then he just walked, and the city and them got a big lawsuit and all that stuff. But anyway, he pulled out of it, and so now there's some animosity there. But they're a rebuilding team for sure.
They got rid of Christian McCaffrey. I know that much.
Yeah, they got the first round pick, so they got Alabama's quarterback from last year. What's his name?
Here we go. Teller, Miles.
No,
Miles Teller. He's not the guy that
my wife
started.
would kill me because she's from Alabama and she's a huge Alabama fan.
That dude just started.
No,
I got you right here, man. I know exactly who you're talking about. He was the first overall pick.
yeah,
It was
first overall pick, and they traded
Bryce
from,
Young.
Yeah, Bryce Young. So they traded from what?
Guy sucks.
Bears. The Bears had first overall pick. They traded, and they got like a bunch more picks for it. They picked Bryce one, like whichever one he thought they were going to. Which I'm from Minnesota, so I'm a Vikings fan, and I'm just gonna lose forever. But they
Wait. You're a Vikings fan? You're a Vikings?
Yeah, Minnesota Vikings.
Dude,
I'm from
you
Minnesota.
guys are gonna be okay, man. My good buddy that I grew up with is the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings, and I just watched that show, Quarterback, Kevin O'Connell.
Yeah.
I mean, his mom didn't let me. I wasn't allowed to chill with him after like
Okay.
junior year of high school. But we grew up. We were as thick as
really?
thieves. Yeah, his dad was an FBI agent. We just go over to his house, and his dad would have this what do you call it, a holster over there with a gun over there. He'd be like, yo, CH, like, don't even look at it. I'm like, can I just like touch it? He's like, fuck no, man, don't even look at it, But he was always like an Eagle Scout. He flew straight. He got lucky as hell. He got a growth spurt from like sophomore year to junior year. Just that weird.
He played professional for like a little while.
So his deal is that he went to La Costa. We graduated 03, La Costa Canyon. He wasn't like a state championship quarterback or anything. By no means necessary. He was very accurate. He was definitely the best player on our team, aside from probably it had to be O'Connell. Like, come on, you're 6'6" as a 17-year-old. Like, you're going to be – and he was also a pretty good rusher. So he went to San Diego State, which was kind of weird because I think he was a little bit more heavily recruited than that. And then from San Diego State, because they don't play teams that are good. They don't play like Big Ten or SEC.
Yeah, they're not playing Alabama or Tennessee.
No. So from there, because we were all like, dude, Kevin's playing, man. Like, and they would play UCLA and just get rocked. Like remember Maurice Jones-Drew?
Right.
So he was on UCLA, and I remember like in the first quarter, the game was over, and I was like, fuck, man. Like, this is not going good for Kev. But anyway, he got his shit together later on, and then long story short, he got drafted by the Patriots in the third round. Mm-hmm. And it was that one weird year where he got drafted, and then remember when Tom Brady got tackled, I think, by Terrell Suggs, and he tore his ACL?
Right.
And they created, like, you can't shoot at a quarterback below the knees after that, and everyone was all pissed off because it wasn't like white it was like quarterback privilege, It was like, hey man, like, we're gonna create a rule over Tom Brady. It was like, well,
that's what happens when Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady get hit. They get a new rule.
They get a new rule, man. Yeah. So he was out, and then Matt Castle went in. And shout out to Bill Belichick for just being, as much as I hate the Patriots, I respect them. I think they still went 11-5. And that was when Castle got that giant contract with the Chiefs after that and just sucked. He had one good year and then just.
And then they took Cam Newton.
But anyway, if you look at that year, you could see my boy Kevin O'Connell. I think he went 3 for 4, which is not bad. He went into one game against the Dolphins. Yeah. He got rocked by Joey Porter. Remember when Joey Porter went from the Steelers to the Dolphins? Yeah. And from then on out, he kind of just stayed in the league. He didn't stay in the league. He was a coach for the Redskins. Well, he was
a quarterback coach.
Yeah. So before that, he pretty much got fired from the Patriots. Nobody picked him up. He farted around a little bit, I think, with the Jets, and then he was doing the KUSI thing, like the local football here and that, like just trying to stay in the game, And then I think he was helping out with Mark Sanchez when he was struggling with the Jets, and that got him over to the Redskins. And next thing you know, we're like, dude, Kevin O'Connell is the offensive coordinator of the Rams. And the Rams just won a Super Bowl.
Well, Super Bowl, right? And actually, he did a hell of a job at the Vikings this last year. I mean,
they were 13-3 or 13-4. Yeah.
Our defense sucked. We were like a sieve. They didn't know how to like actually blitz anyone. So the only reason we didn't do anything in the playoffs is because we could score offense all day long. Because of course O'Connell's, he's an offensive mind.
He's a quarterback.
Coordinator just blows. And so I'm on the last episode of Quarterbacks.
It's great
as well. It's great flick. And
no spoiler
Kirk
alert.
Cousins doesn't get any weirder. I mean, he just is like, he's like the poster child of like Coles.
Yes. Like the Lee Dungarees, like the Wrangler jeans. Yeah, Kirk Cousins is cool. At the end of the day, like I don't even think they filmed Marcus Mariota after like the 7th episode. They just kind of got rid of it. But anyway,
they're like, he picked 3 and one of them died. Damn it.
Any which way, man. Shout out to Kevin O'Connell. He's doing good. I grew up with that dude. Like I don't think he's going to answer my phone calls these days, but I wish him well. Because at that point, you're like pretty much a politician. You have to have like this clean cut image.
Oh, right.
Right. I stay off social media. I go to church with my family. Here's my kids. Yada yada yada. Kind of is like exactly like a politician. You kind of grow and stick around. You got to lay low. But I know a lot of people gave the Vikings a lot of shit last year because they won like 7 games by a couple points. But I'm like, dude, a fucking win's a win, man.
A win is a win.
A win is a win. I don't give a shit if it's from Alfalfa Sprout or, you're cheating.
I almost had like a heart attack every game because we'd win like by 1 point at the end of the game. But I'm kind of looking back like those are awesome games to watch. Like,
especially when
I don't want them just to blow them out. Like I just want them. Those are the funnest games. Like you win at the end of the day. You're like, sweet. I'm drunk at the end of the game because I had like 16 beers because I'm so nervous whether they're gonna win and kick this field goal at the end.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was a bummer they lost to the Giants. I remember that was the game I was like, I really want to watch this. I was always
and we beat them 2 weeks before that, right?
Yeah, and then you lost in what? The divisional or the wild card?
First wild card. Yep. First
then,
game in the playoffs.
And then who beat the Giants? It was the Eagles?
Right. Yep.
No shame in that. They almost won the Super Bowl.
We 2 years or a year before that when they fired the previous head coach, we went to the Eagles and for some reason we just played like ass in Philadelphia. I don't know if it's the fans, I don't know what it is, but they just fall face plant when we go there. Yeah. My only claim to fame with the Vikings is I went to the same college as Adam Thielen, and he was just a couple years younger than me. But he's a small town guy from Minnesota.
Yeah.
Who just walked on to the Vikings.
That's
but
crazy.
Went to the same college, which is like nobody gets drafted from Mankato State, Minnesota, in the south central portion of the state.
Right.
And so he just walks on, tries out, makes the team crazy, and then is one of the better receivers. And now he's at Carolina Panthers. So it's awesome because I have his jersey, and I'm going to the game.
Right.
When
Small
they play
world,
the Vikings
man.
here in Carolina, and I'm wearing my Adam Thielen jersey. That's a Vikings jersey. When I'm going, my son has one too, so we're going and we're going to be like, Thielen. I hope he does well, but I hope they lose.
Yeah. No, that's a small world, man.
Yeah.
We're getting some trolls in the comment section. How about curling? All right, man. Not everyone in here is into the NFL as much as Dennis and I. Hey, Dennis, I'm going to use the restroom. Can you reel it back to beer while I'm gone?
Yeah.
Anybody got a question for Dennis? Anything.
I've had it. I'm going to fill up too, and then when you get back, I'm going to empty myself.
Let's go.
Hey, 49ers were good, Bodine. They were good this year. Their younger quarterback has some promise. That's cool. I grew up in Minnesota. Curling was like a national sport. Like people did that on the lakes. They would actually shovel off the snow and do curling events. So I'm game. I haven't been to USA or in Wisconsin. No, I haven't. So Chris asked, "What do you do when you have a bad batch of beer?" Um, every beer you think is going to be fantastic isn't always fantastic, and sometimes it's drinkable, and it's really hard to pour a beer like completely out. And so I've done that. I think every brewer has gotten to that point where we've gotten off flavors. I mean, typically, when I don't have a good batch, sometimes I think it's worse than others think it is. So I'll have some friends or family over, and they'll drink it, and they're like, "Hey, this isn't as bad as you thought about it. It's kind of up my alley." And if you don't tell them what you think about it, and you just ask them, it's probably not all that bad of a beer. But I have had to dump beers. I mean, let's just be honest.
All right, Dennis, before you go get beers and we switch from talking about sports, who's your Super Bowl prediction this year? I mean, you got to – it's tough to count out Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
But assuming the Chiefs –
I don't think the Chiefs are going to do – I mean, the good thing about the NFL is that they tend to turn over. What I honestly, as much as I hate this, I think the Panthers are going to do really well this year.
Dude, the Chiefs got rid of their best receiver, Tyreek Hill, and won the Super Bowl without him.
I know, but there's enough turnover where everybody, you're a Super Bowl winning team. Everybody wants to get paid. It's just like Kevin O'Connell leaving. After they won the Super Bowl, they're going to lose coordinators. They're going to lose personnel. They're not going to have the salary cap to pay everybody millions of dollars. So they're going to end up losing staff and personnel. And so that's a good thing about the NFL is that it kind of breaks up the teams that are good.
It does
a little bit,
right? It
unless you have
prevents the
Tom
dynasties,
Brady's.
Right?
Yeah, unless you have the Tom Brady's of the world that are like, I'm willing to take a pay cut so you can protect me with 5 studs on the line, because that's what he did, and that's why the Patriots were so good. Where you have like somebody like Aaron Rodgers who just wants to get paid and doesn't care who's in front of him. Well, guess what? You're gonna get rocked because you want your paycheck. So I mean that's kind of part of it. It's the salary cap keeps them in check a little bit. So I think Panthers are really gonna have a good year. I think they'll have a rebuilding year. I don't know that they're gonna win the Super Bowl or anything, but I think they'll do well.
How do you feel about this? Bills and Niners.
The Bills are gonna be good.
Bills are knocking on the door. It's just inevitable. Yeah. Like that.
The Bills and Niners have been at that 80% level for the last couple of years, and they just, I think either one of them are a contender.
When you're knocking on the door, you're gonna get in unless the coach breaks the team up, and they're not doing that.
Yeah, right. And they're not big enough yet where everybody wants a huge salary. I mean, that's the biggest thing. It's like you didn't make it to the Super Bowl, right? But you're good enough to make it to the playoffs every year. You just need that extra push.
Dude, that Josh Allen guy is no joke, man. He's no joke. I mean, who would you rather have? Who would you rather have, the Bengals quarterback or Josh Allen?
Oh, I don't know. That's tough.
That's
Bengals,
a good one. What's his name? Taj Burrow?
Burrow, yeah. And he beat Kansas City 3 times before, and that was on
the show, yeah.
But man, they're good. And I would have never thought in my lifetime I would have said like the Browns or the Bengals would have been good.
Dude, the Bengals are back to like their Boomer Esiason days, man. But anyway, hey, go fill up a beer.
Okay.
What up, Larry Rabba?
I'll be right back.
Cool. We still got 65 people here, man. For those who are unaware, we're chilling out with Dennis out there in Charlotte, a.k.a. Dennis or Cityscape, however you want to look at it first. But we're hanging out. This is my 4th beer of the night. Glad everyone's here. Chris Radiation, man. Much love, Braj. He was out there in Los Angeles this week hanging out with Nick Pitt. I call him Nick Pitt because he's from Pittsburgh. Larry Rybo, what's up, dog? As a Steelers fan, I freaking hate the hype. It feels like we're getting this offseason. Bad omens. Thing about the Steelers, though, you can never really count them out. Who Dey? Is that the Saints? Saints, that whole division is just fucking ridiculous. The NFC South is just god-awful. I could also see the Cardinals. The Cardinals baseball team or football team versus Chargers in the World Cup. Yeah, I'm with him. Bodine's Brews. I coached Josh Allen at a quarterback camp here in Central Valley in California. He's from Fireburg, California, population 450. That's crazy, man. Shout out to Bodine's Brews, man. Cali in the house.
Wow.
Nick Smith, but I call him Nick Pitt.
Get over here!
That's what Chip always said, Nicholas DeMoth. Apologies if I'm botching your name. Best way to ruin a hobby is to go pro with your passion. Yeah, that's something I think everybody kind of knows. Not that you're beginning to learn, but I remember when I was brewing with Maury, because he had been brewing commercially, whether it was mead or this and that. I remember when he first came over and we brewed a 5-gallon batch, and he was like, whoa, this is cool. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, we can drink, smoke weed, smoke cigarettes. We're just doing a 5-gallon batch. There's not that much that can go wrong. Like, I miss this, So I get it. I think I get it. But, yeah. Hopefully I'll never be involved in a brewery at all, unless it's a Street Fighter 2 brewery that's in a 10x10 shed outside of your house right now.
Wow.
Party time is taking it on the chin tonight. What happened to party night? What's up, Denoid? The Seahawks, I think that, who's the quarterback? Geno. I think he's way better than people thought. I think he's been a backup his whole life. I think if him and that coach can get on parallel lines, I think that coach, I don't know. I think Pete Carroll's got to be like 80 years old now. But I don't know. Pirates will win the Daytona 500. But anyways, Dennis, what's going on, man? We're coming down to the last 20 minutes. By 20 minutes, I mean like 4 more beers. What are you drinking, bro?
I got my hazy that I brewed in that last hazy video I did, so not bad.
Okay, we're going Australian Pale Ale over here, 4.5.
Nice.
Do Americans drink the highest ABV beers? I feel like every other country is like a 4, like a 3, or maybe a 5.
I guess it depends. I mean, there's some. I know certain people in the U.S. that just they look at the menu and that's what they're looking for first is like ABV, and it's
Right.
like, oh, that's not
No.
exactly what I do. But I also think
It's
that
a marketing tool
breweries
for sure, though.
tend to do that because the styles go that way. But sometimes I like a hazy that's not 7.5% or something like that.
Yeah,
It doesn't have to be huge.
this is 4.5.
Yeah, but you're right. Probably some of the more European countries do a lot more pilsners and Czechs.
Oh, it's all
and,
sessions. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
yeah,
sessions compared to, our culture.
right.
Unless there's something
There's
I don't know about. They're just getting like fucked up out in Samoa on barley wines. Everyone's in the back just chugging Four Locos. Everyone's just chugging wee heavies and braggots.
There's a brewery in Charlotte called Old Mecklenburg Brewery. It's probably one of the oldest breweries in Charlotte. This is a pilsner from them.
That's a
that I'm gonna
pilsner?
Crack into it. Yeah, it's Captain Jack Pilsner. Yeah.
Okay. I'd put that on.
And so
Definitely stout, but I like it.
yeah, so
Don't
some of the
judge a
beers are
barrage by
good.
its
They
cover.
They do a good Oktoberfest. They kind of lean toward more of the, in my opinion, European styles or lighter, more amber beers, that kind of stuff. They're not going to do the hazy IPA necessarily or something like that.
Yeah.
They're like, copper ales and pilsners and Oktoberfest and stuff like that. And so a lot of people appreciate that because it's just different. But I don't think they get the crowds from like the people who want the hazy IPAs and the sours and the other things that are kind of the
For sure.
trendier things. Especially, I know a lot of the few women that are craft brew drinkers. They kind of lean toward those kind of fruitier styles anyway. My wife included. So she'll want to go places where she has something to drink because we go to a place like that. I'm like I'll have like a flight of whatever, but she'll be like, oh, they don't have anything for me, So we tend to not go to places like that, which I will with my guy friends because now we'll try all of them. But
If the Pilsner is the most popular style throughout the world, what's the second most popular style? Probably a brown ale or a English mild or some variation of a 5% malty Newcastle style beer. It's
Yeah.
not, or do you think it's a West Coast IPA or something hoppy or something hazy?
No.
That's
I
all.
don't. I
That's
mean,
all
worldwide.
American. Worldwide.
Yeah, worldwide. No, I think it's more like if Pilsner's probably on top there
By
right?
far,
I think
anywhere you go. I don't care.
Yes.
Yeah, you go to Vietnam or whatever, and it's like this is all they have. You go to Puerto Rico, you go to this place, like it's literally just their Dos Equis or their Coors Light or
Right.
their Budweiser. Yeah, you don't
Yeah.
see too much of anything else. But if you were to be like, what is the other second style of beer that's in second place? I would say it's got to be an English mild.
Right, like ESB pale ale, Thai ale style
Yeah,
beer. Yeah,
Western Europe. I don't know
right.
what the hell goes on in Africa. I don't know what the hell goes on in
I have
Antarctica.
ESB that I just brewed, and
ESB.
it's a yeah English style pale ale basically, right? So the I'm naming it Quest for the Holy Ale,
Noise.
just because Monty Python.
I love
so
Monty Python, man. I grew up
I
with that
know.
shit.
That's all I could think about was just brewing this beer. I was like, it just the coconuts like tapping together during the movie.
You know your shit, man. Monty Python was like before, like
Oh, it's
that,
great.
dude.
If
That
anybody hasn't watched Monty Python and Search for the Holy Grail, you got to go download that shit right now,
it's
and you got to watch it. It's
the.
great.
But the thing about that though, Dennis, is that really quick, man. I got some love here from Warren Cox, man. Much love, Barrage. Happy International IPA Day, August 3rd. Is it August 3rd? We're getting there. Maybe in his
Getting
time
there.
zone.
Does hazy IPAs count? I'll do it.
Hey, big shout out to Warren Cox, man. Much love, man. Cheers. Cheers
Look,
from
I'm going to be
Knoxville.
honest. I don't really like beer that much.
With Dennis, what he's saying, comedy, yes. Is it? I loved it. I grew up watching the box sets and all that stuff. Comedy is within a time frame. You know,
It
when,
is.
when your grandfather tries to show you Laurel and Hardy and you're like, I just don't get it. But he's laughing his ass off. It's like, just at the time, you know, and this and that. You know, one day we're going to be 90 years old talking about, hey, this is Chris Farley and David Spade and Tommy Boy. And people are like,
Yeah.
I just don't get it. I just don't get it. You're like, what do you mean? This is so ridiculous. They should be so embarrassed. Fat
I
guys.
agree with that. I agree with that because I've watched some movies back from like early 2000s, 90s that I'm like,
It's
oh,
different.
These were so funny, and it is. It's different watching them now.
It's different now. Yeah.
It is, and you watch it, and you're like, and although I still think it's funny, I can still notice the difference in like they're just not gonna laugh like I was gonna laugh back then. Right?
No, you're right. And one of my favorite movies of all time is Billy Madison. But if that
Yeah,
came
that-
out now, you'd be like, this
Perfect
doesn't.
example.
You'd be like, oh, like what? Stop looking at me. You'd be like, this is ridiculous. Why is
Yeah,
he? Why is there?
he's an idiot, right?
He's an idiot. Why is he a grown man? He's like, well, no. You know, holding up.
Being your pants is cool.
Right. I mean, it just worked
Yeah,
at the time
right.
because we were 9 years old and we were like, that's the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
You know,
Like American Pie and all those movies, you know.
I never thought American Pie was funny, but I got it, you know, because
Yeah.
it was like how high school was supposed to be and everybody was supposed to lose your virginity at
Yeah.
prom. But like, I don't think I ever laughed at American Pie, you know, but that also
but I
was
mean,
like 5 years later than Billy
Yeah,
Madison.
humor wise, I think like the Adam Sandler movies, if you watch those, like Billy Madison, Happy Gilmore, those kind of things, they've evolved, and now as he's gotten older, his humor's of course changed, but it's also kind of kept up with the times a little bit, like,
Right.
and so his movies aren't any less funny; they're just different funny.
They're different, funny, and I think the only thing that really works. I don't know how stand-up comedy was in the 40s or 50s with Lenny Bruce. I never watched a Bill Cosby episode, but I think if something was funny, kind of from like the 80s with George Carlin and Richard Pryor, I still laughed my ass off. You know, and I still
George Carlin was a genius.
George Carlin was insane. He was insane.
I watched him live.
He was insane.
In Minnesota, and my favorite part was he was talking about like pulling over to watch and I know this is obviously just him talking, but he's like, when you get in a car accident and everybody drives by real slow, like I pull over and watch that, especially if it's like a pickup truck hitting like a chicken truck, feathers everywhere. And
Yeah.
oh, so funny, man. Like it's today funny. It's back then funny and today funny. It's hilarious.
Yeah, and fucking Noam, man. Noam just became a member for 17 months. Noam, all that means is that I'm buying you beers at Yeehaw in 2 weeks, man. But shout out to Noam, man. Much love, man. Can't wait to see you. We're gonna kill it. We're going to kill it. We're going to brew a sour or a ginger beer. I'll talk to you and Ollie a little bit later on about that, but I want to do that a little bit later on. But we'll talk about that. No, but much love, man. Thanks, Barrage. Waterboy wouldn't work nowadays. Jesse Foster, Chura Chad. I don't know what that means. Chris Vodka, I also showed my kids Over the Top. Movie wouldn't work nowadays. But back to George Carlin. Remember that bit where he just comes out and he's like, How the hell do fat people take shits? Like that's like his opening thing. He comes out after.
How do they wipe? Yeah,
He's like, how do
something
people
that,
wipe their asses? Like that's just how he comes out. You know, just like how the hell you just have to like reach back and like hope for the best. You know, like how to, just
Yeah.
like dude, just
You got to be
guns blazing.
elbow deep.
guns blazing, and
That's how he got the crowd going. I mean, it was so funny because it's so like not expected the way he comes out.
well, not only that, but like sometimes I'm sitting on a toilet. I'm kind of big. I'm not, big, but like sometimes you sit on one of those little toilets. You're like, yeah, I'm starting to think about that George Carlin thing a little bit too much now. I feel like I'm sitting on like a Folgers coffee pot right now. My balls are touching and my penis is touching the porcelain. Like how the hell would like an Andre the Giant like do this?
That's right.
Yeah. So I don't know. Comedy. I mean, comedy's I think the most difficult form of art. I'll always say that. But it just you had to be there. Is it one of those things like you had to be there, or you had to
Right.
You had to be a kid for there? Yeah.
Yeah, and it's just that time of comedy, I think. I mean, I think it wasn't just that you were in high school that you liked it. I think every age group, and that's just where they were in that era, right? Like that type of comedy. And it's just kind of evolved, and things change, and you just can't say the same stuff you can in a movie anymore too. That's part of it. But
did you ever go to the movies with your older cousins and your brothers or whatever, and you didn't, or your dad, you didn't know what was going on, and you would look over and your dad would be laughing, or older people you thought were cool, and you didn't get the joke, and then they would laugh and you would just start laughing too, just because like you wanted to be in on it, Yeah. Like a 7-8-year-old kid, you're like, I don't understand at all sex, apartments, expenses. Like I don't understand this at all. I'm just gonna laugh, when he starts shitting on his wife and how he hates being married. And like 8-year-old kid, I don't know what's going on, but I don't know. Like just watching Seinfeld as like a 10-year-old, like you just did it because it was cool. It was a thing to do that everyone was doing. But like you didn't get it. You didn't know like what it's like being single in New York and trying to date, and everything's fucking awkward and weird.
Yeah, and you watch it now and you kind of get
it.
that,
It comes back now. Yeah.
And so rewatching some of those older movies and stuff, it's like, oh, I totally didn't get that when I watched that the first time.
I've seen that a couple times in some like not Disney movies, but like some of these Shrek movies, like these. There's a lot of hidden.
There's adult humor.
There's some hidden jabs in there. What up, Iroquois? I got a super chat here from Francis Buxton, aka Chris Radiation. His code, the Thieves Bandits, his fingerprints he leaves everywhere is the $10.69. $10.69. Revenge is finally mine. I don't know where he's going for that, man, but big shout out to Chris Radiation, man. Love you, dog. Dennis, do you have time for one more beer, or is this kind of okay, cool? Because I'm gonna go in. So I've got 3 or 4 different styles from South O. I definitely liked their Graves House the best by far. Not disrespecting their other ones, but sometimes you just like things more. Someone sends you a 6-pack of beer from Costco. There's 2 of each for a 12-pack. You just really like that one. Doesn't mean the other ones are bad.
Right.
I'm lying like a rug.
I find that on my
Trevor,
own beers,
all your
like,
I'm just kidding.
no matter what it is, I'm like, I drink the shit out of one. I'm like, almost got to like give love to a different one because I don't drink it as much. It's like I should probably drink 3 of those tonight just because I need to drink those.
Do you get burned out on your homebrew? Like me, like if I'm just, I don't give a shit. It's the best hazy of all time or the best whatever of all time. You're just like, dude, I just overdid it.
Which is really funny because my wife goes, when I bought you this homebrew kit like a dozen years ago, I thought you would stop buying all the craft brews that you buy. No, hell no. You got to taste the competition, right?
You got to taste the comp.
Yeah,
I like that. You got to taste the competition.
Yeah, so I'm not buying any less. I'm also just spending money on brewing. I think the homebrew channel just helps fund the brewing now. So but the cool thing is that I try to do. I have 4 taps, so it seems like a lot of beer for one person, but I have a lot of help drinking them. But I have a sour all the time for my wife because she's not a beer drinker. So usually it's like a blackberry sour or like mango or whatever, right? And then I have a ton of kettle sour videos just because I'm brewing them all the time because my wife likes them. But I do a a seasonal usually tap. So I'll do like coming up. I'll do Oktoberfest again because I always do an Oktoberfest in the fall. I'll do coconut porter or something. Vanilla porter, something in the wintertime. Brown ale. I did it last year. I did a celebration ale clone, which turned out freaking fantastic. It was
Sort
like
of out in the
spot
house.
on.
Yeah.
Spot on. So I do a seasonal tap, so that one keeps like rotating a little bit. But I always have some IPA or pale ale on tap at all times because that's kind of what my go-to is when I go to breweries. So I was gonna have that. But yeah, I do. Do I get burnt out of them? I don't brew the same beer all the time. So I try to rotate enough where I'm not getting sick of them.
I love it.
But yes, I do drink other beers because I'm not gonna not buy craft beers.
No, and I love it. Dennis, I can tell you're a straight up barrage, man. I'm going to start slurring here in a little bit. I've had like 4 IPAs, and it's what happens sometimes when you drink, man. But I want to give a big shout out to Bodine's Brews, man, coming through, dude. Bodine's Brews, you're going to make it out to Knoxville in 2 weeks to hang out with me, all you guys know. I've got a kind of a couch with your name on it. You got to fight with Gnome to the death. I'm going to break the wood in half, give it to one of you guys, kind of like that scene from
Back off, war child. Seriously.
I don't know. What was that movie with Ray Liotta? No Escape? You guys remember the movie with Ray Liotta? Who's the guy that played drama in Entourage? Somebody help me out. It's a great movie.
I don't know that one. You're on your own there.
Wow.
But do they have to fight the feral cats that are?
No, they're on my side, man. I draw a line in the sand. The cats, if they're cool with me, it's all good. Thanks for watching that. Yeah, that was kind of weird. That could have been really weird, but I got a lot.
I laughed.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Appreciate that.
By the way,
man.
these OMB caps. Look at this. They're like rip-off bottle caps.
What do you got?
This OMB is Old Mecklenburg Brewery. It's a rip-off bottle cap. So it's a tab that you'd find like in a can, and you pull it, and it pulls the cap off.
Oh shit. Okay.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
It's like the first place I've ever seen that has these. But they like have like a little loop.
God, I miss when people used to put the jokes underneath their beer caps.
Yeah.
Who was
what
that?
Happened to?
It was Red Bull, or it was Red Bull. It was Pabst Blue Ribbon and Mickey's. That was the best marketing tool of all time. It was like
Who still does that? No, it's not a beer. It's a.
It definitely was a beer.
Snapple or
It
some
was
shit
it was
did it.
Mickey's Grenades for sure at one point. There's no doubt
yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, the beers did it too.
No,
but then I think
Snapple was like, didn't you know that like a mosquito flaps its wings like a zillion times in 1 second? You're like, I don't give a fuck.
That's
I
what
don't
it
give a
was.
fuck.
Do they even make Snapple anymore?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the name of the movie? Thank you, Ron Barnes. Kevin Dillon and Ray Liotta. That movie was phenomenal. When the two good guys the bad guys throw them in the pit, and they break they give them the weapon, but only one guy can use it. Come on, man. Come on. Hey, Bodine's Brews, man. Much love. Thank you so much, man. What's this Molson talk? Okay, I'm gonna go. I think it was called No Escape.
Yeah, you have to Google it. I'm at a loss.
Kevin Dillon, Ray Liotta, rest in peace, man. No Escape, 1994. God, this was a good movie.
I don't know that I've seen it. Honestly, it's not drawn up.
It was the dude that was who was the black dude from Ghostbusters? Not Egon.
God,
this movie was so good. And it was Bishop from Aliens. He was like the ringleader. No, it's a killer beer. Shout out to anybody who's ever seen the movie No Escape. I'm going to get super baked and watch that tonight. I don't have any weed, but I got to figure out A, how to get weed, and B, how to watch that movie. But Ernie Hudson, Ron Barnes, man, always coming through like a barrage. Love me some Ernie Hudson. Ernie Hudson's in everything. Ernie Hudson was in the Basketball Diaries with, remember that one? With Leonardo DiCaprio and Mark Wahlberg? That was a
that's
weird
a while
movie.
ago too.
That's a movie.
Speaking of weed, Minnesota just legalized marijuana like a month ago.
They're coming around. They're on that California vibe.
They accidentally legalized it like a couple months before that because they put some like thing in the bill and nobody read it, and they accidentally passed it, and the governor just said, "Well, here you go." And so they could put like THC in drinks, and it was like in the thing. So then they ended up just like passing it total because
Oh, man, here we
they
go.
had approved it. So it's
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Coming aboard. I'm sorry, I'm a little bit loosey goosey here, man. Juvenal Hernandez, man, the San Diego barrage out there. Dunkel Modelo time. Oh yeah, we don't call it the other one. I forgot about that. Big shout out to Juvenal, man. Much love, man. Cheers, you barrage. Doing this on your phone sucks. 108 ales. Yeah, it was pretty good. All right, we got time for one more beer. Dennis, you down to do questions? I'm sure there's people in here that want to know about like your recipes and your systems and what you've gone through. Like,
Yeah, have at it. I'm an open book, man. Ask me any question you want. Cause
yeah, let's go with the questions. Who's got questions? Or do you guys just want to bullshit? Simcoe or
I mean,
Mosaic?
the thing about it too is like, brewing. Everybody's a little different, and I think everybody's a little hesitant to be like,
It's the best part.
I have more. I have questions about, but to be honest with you, I think the best part about brewing is with other people, because you can brew a million batches yourself, and then you go over to your buddy's house and they do something different, and you're like, I didn't even think of that, or I didn't do that. Like, I'll use an example of I was brewing with a guy who actually commercially brews now, and one of the things that I did when I first started homebrewing, and actually even after my all grain video that I put on my YouTube channel, is I would, when I was I still batch barge to this day, but when I was Vorloffing, I would pour a little bit until it was kind of clear, and then I would kind of throw it in my kettle, and I'd pour a little bit back and stuff, but I didn't Vorloff nearly enough. This guy's like, I do like recirculation for like 5 gallons or something. I mean, like almost the whole thing before I start pouring into my kettle. And I was like, really? Like that much? And once I started doing it a little bit more, I actually found like my beers are way clearer. You know what I mean? Like the clarity. Now, I don't mind a little cloudy beer. I don't every once in a while. I don't care if it has some chill haze if it's good. But I didn't even realize that was like a thing. I thought like, from the videos you see online, like, oh, you just wait until it doesn't have chunks in it, basically, while you're doing your Vorloff, and you just gotta pour a little bit back, and that's all you have to do. And part of that'll drop out over time, you cool it down. But now I do it a lot more, because I even had a guy over at the house just doing it, and so brewing with other people really, I think, elevates your brewing game. Does that help? Does that make sense?
I think you're right about both things. Yes, it does. And I also think that not like thinking what you just said, like, hey, it's got to be so fresh and we got to get it out. Like it.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's better when you just condition it.
Or even for those still bottle conditioning, right?
Me and Ollie
like,
were just
I had a
talking.
beer that sucked, and then I left it in the closet for like a month. I came back and I was like, well, these things, I'm just either gonna dump it or just gonna. So I tried to get it.
Way
awesome.
better. Yeah.
Way better.
Way better. Yeah. No,
I feel like a month of just sitting there. Right.
Dude, me and Ollie were just talking about that. Like, putting out content, grain and glass videos, you always want to have like the best looking beer pictures at the beginning and at the end, but I never got that because I was like, hey, my beer's done. I hit my final gravity, this and that.
Yeah.
But I look at my videos like, damn, all my beers look flat. And I'd crank it up and I'd have them at, I'd go from 10 PSI to 15 PSI. And after 3 or 4 days, they'd still be kind of flat. And I was like, I don't know about this, man. Maybe I need to like crank it up to 20 PSI for 4 days, bleed it off, and then let it sit in a keg for a week.
Yeah.
And that's what I did for the last batch of beer. And it was just good, and I didn't.
Part of it is just patience.
It's patience,
you just get
man.
overly patient.
Yeah. And there's so many things that we don't think about with like the chemical reaction in CO2 that actually like make the beer, and they hide so many things and this and that, When's the last time you just went to a brewery and you're like, yeah, I just want uncarbonated fresh beer? It's never happened. You don't know what it actually comes from unless they pull it out of like a barrel. Maybe
they do it in Europe all the time, I guess. So
not here, not the breweries that I go to, but
No.
I think that and as bad as it sounds, like you want to put out content and this and that, but it's like maybe that video's got to wait another week or two, just for the sake of me and the shot and the fucking beer community as a whole. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, So somebody was talking about sparging and is it really worth it? And people say, yeah, scrap the sparge. When you brew in a bag, you don't really sparge, right? I know, like,
People do, people don't. You know.
yeah, and you don't really have to, right? So
Right.
that at the end of the day, it's really just about efficiency. And at a homebrew scale, you're not saving all that much money by getting a few more sugars off the grains, right? So like,
Yes.
I think like the brew show, his videos, I don't know if he still does this, but he pours hot water over the bag as he's pulling it
No,
out.
he's got a clamor system now, but yeah, that's kind of
Yeah.
what he taught me to do, and it was a great way to
Right.
rinse your
And you're
grains.
just rinsing sugars off, right?
There's
And
no
you're getting a
pump,
pure full boil.
no
Right.
electricity, gravity.
And so I do a batch sparge only because I'm not gonna do a full I I'm not putting the whole thing in my mash tun.
Yeah.
And so I just first runnings pour in the second amount of water, stir it up, and then do my second runnings just to get the full boil volume. But to be honest with you, it's just about efficiency doing the batch sparge because a claw hammer system, for instance, you're just pulling the whole thing out. It's essentially a Bruno bag system,
Sure.
and the recirculation thing helps because you're recirculating through, so you're rinsing those grains off and you're getting all the sugars off. But at the end of the day, you're just pulling it up and letting it drain out. And so at a homebrew scale, of really, what are you saving, like a couple cents? But when you're talking to like a brewery, they're not wanting to buy another 50 pounds of grain if they don't have to per batch, right?
No, I hear you, man. It's all good, and people are talking about what's better, recirculation pump or sparge. Thought about that.